This is the Vision 79 podcast, where my friend Sander and myself, Mason, discuss recent developments in our business and personal growth. The name Vision 79 comes from our respective racing numbers. Sanders is 40, mine is 39, and we have similar ambition to progress in our business and personal growth. Many successful people have started small, just like us, but very few of them have documented their early years. They often say they wish they had, and given we believe in learning lessons from others, we intend to be the first to document our journey from start to finish. This is simply a documentary of our lives, and as such, we do not monetize these videos, so enjoy the ad-free content. Each episode is broken down into 3 segments, each covering our progress over the past week. We start by discussing our life updates, then our business updates, and lastly, we share any lessons we've learned over the past week. We have timestamps in the description to navigate these sections easily. Today is May 17th, 2026, and we're recording episode 107. So, what are your life updates this week?
So for life updates this week, Blue Origin, I had some testing work to do. I'm building up I actually finished it now. It's a test stand for a landing gear actuator.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I designed that, wrote the work order, built it up all myself, and made it. It's pretty neat. So I just finished that build up, ready to test. And I had some other stuff to do with landing gear actuators. I've become like the go-to guy to deal with actuator shit now.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's it's fun stuff. I don't mind it.
It's cool to be the go-to guy.
Yeah, some of the REs are like a little bit
retarded.
No. No, they're smart, but they just like want like super specific shit immediately, and then are like confused when it like takes effort.
Okay.
And so like that can be a little bit like, bro, come on.
Yeah.
But no, it's fun. It's good. So that's been happening. The BMW, the ABS module got rebuilt by Module Masters. I got confirmation that it's on its way back to Autobahn. So may have that car back in the next couple of weeks, which would be cool. And happy to have the ABS module fixed. And the rest of the stuff as fixed as it will get. And then Sammy had to go to Texas for a family emergency. So I've been home alone, feeding myself ramen noodles. So been good. But yeah, relatively short update. We both watched the 24 Hours of Nürburgring yesterday in portions.
And today. I watched them today.
Yeah. So that was cool. It was super fun to see Max race. I'm sure you'll talk about it.
Lots.
But that's what I got for life this week.
Cool, dude. That's a good update.
Yeah. What do you got? What you got for us?
I have a mixed bag. So starting off Northrop, we had the big chunk of work that I did in April to prepare for our milestone event at the end of April was the government gave us a contract to say, hey, go figure out if this technology is possible to make, and then figure out how to integrate it into what we've already got going on. So essentially it's like, can you build lightsabers? And then how can you put that on an F-22 is basically like the type of stuff that we're doing, right? And so then our milestone event in April was to show our customer, hey, here's what we've developed. What do you think? Do you want to give us a bunch of money to go do it? And I heard the other day, I don't know if it's official, but I have a high degree of confidence that we've signed the contract. So for reference, most contracts in the DoD space range from, for subcontractors, they can be hundreds of thousands or in the like single double-digit millions of dollars. For prime contractors, usually you're getting contracts in the like an average contract I would say is like 50 to 200 million. And a big contract would be like probably 3 to 5 million, 500 million, right? How big is this contract? This is me and like 15 other people who did this.
623,000 million. 852. 1.7 billion.
Closer.
Oh, really? Wow. Tell me.
I can't tell you.
Oh,
you're close.
Oh, okay.
But I can't tell you.
Oh, okay.
But it's a big number. It's a big number as far as contracts go. And I think we got it. So
wow,
that's a cool feeling.
Many monies.
Many monies, yeah. So when you talk about like, when you put on your resume, like how much money have you made the company? The answer is a fucking lot of it, like a lot of it.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's only like fucking less than 20 people working on it, like now with this funding, we can hire a bunch more people to come in, and this is a number that's going to last us for a while, right? And And so it's not like, oh, like only 15 people are like earning this much money for the company. Like we're going to spend that money to go hire more people, but like that's creating jobs and bringing revenue to the company,
Mm.
which I think is cool. So it was nice to see that all the effort in April and me dealing with shit while I was sick and everything has paid off in getting the company that allocation, which is sweet. Um, Aside from Northrop, in my personal life, last weekend was Mother's Day,
Oh, yeah, it
and
was.
I went and played pickleball with my family, and I got really competitive, as I tend to do, and I sprained my ankle, which I've never done before. So I didn't. I thought I rolled my ankle, and I was like, "Oh, like sit down for 5 minutes, and then you can play again." And as I was sitting there, I was like, "Nah, this feels worse than a normal one." So I'm gonna safely not play. And so I didn't play, and then I spent all weekend doing manual labor building this lattice wall for plants to climb that I'm going to hang in my bedroom. And so that consisted of driving to Lowe's, picking out lumber, borrowing a truck from a neighbor, transporting that lumber, cutting it to size, measuring it and staining it, and then screwing it all together. And like this took the all weekend, and I slept like 4 hours that night and didn't eat anything. I ate like an Uncrustable over the course of the whole weekend. I didn't eat shit. And my ankle had swollen up to like 3 times its normal size, and it hurt to walk on at all. And so I pushed it like way too hard. And then Sunday night, I didn't sleep at all, getting all the plants in the planter and hung up on the lattice wall. And it looks super sick. I've got lighting on it. It looks great. It'll look even better once the plants have grown into it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm really happy with how it came out. But I pushed it way too hard. And so Monday, I woke up with a fever, as I'm now fucking accustomed to, apparently, because I had a fever on April 20th and 21st, and then a week later on the 27th, right? And those fevers I got a sickness from. I was like, I had a cold. It was like sore throat, runny nose, the regular cold symptoms, right? Sinus shit. And I had gotten over that completely. So like I'm not sick anymore. And then I wake up Monday with like a fucking 100-degree fever. And I'm like, God damn it. Okay. Sucks. Usually I get my fevers at night and then the next morning I'm fine or I'm sick, but like no more fever. So sucks to wake up with a fever, but like I'll just take it easy today and then I'll sleep and then Tuesday morning I'll wake up fine, right? Nope. That night, the worst sleep I've ever had. I have like cold chills during the day. Like I am sweating to death at night, like just a fucking terrible. I have a 1% recovery on Whoop, which
Nice.
is the lowest ever actually that I've recorded is a night that I didn't sleep at all. For fun reasons. And so Whoop just counted 2 days as one. And so I had maxed out my strain for that day with zero recovery. It's funny, but like I've never tried to get a recovery and gotten a 1% before. So like this was terrible. Um, all my heart rate metrics were like fucked. Like my resting heart rate usually is like a 42. It was 96.
Nice.
Usually my HRV is like 130, 120. It was 5. It was terrible, dude. I was like, oh my God, Whoop is showing me that I'm gonna fucking die today. Like it's bad. And so Tuesday, Grace had work. She came home from work and I was like, I think I'm feeling better. And she took my temperature and it was a 102.4. She was like, you are not better. So she made me go to urgent care. Urgent care was like, we'll test you for mono. They tested me for mono. I did not have mono. And I was like, all right. They were like, sleep it off. And I was like, cool, sounds good. So I went home and I slept it off. And then the next morning I woke up and Grace was like, how do you feel? And I was like, I think I feel better. And she took my temperature, it was 101. And I was like, well, it's better than 102. But like I was out of it, dude. Like normally when I get sick and I have like a runny nose and stuff, it's like I feel tired and low energy and I need to sleep more. And when I'm working on tasks, I have to really focus on what I'm doing for like shorter durations of time. Like I have really bad brain fog and energy problems when I'm sick. But this was like full vegetable mode. Like I was lying in bed drooling and sweating all day and like I could not do anything like cognitively loaded,
Mm.
which sucks because we're nearing closing with our client. And
Yeah.
so like I basically leaned on Grace for all that shit from Monday through Wednesday. And she did a great job, but I was like completely fucking useless for those days. It was terrible. Um, and so then Thursday I woke up and I felt way better. And today, Sunday, I have no symptoms at all. I'm 100% back to normal. So like,
Nice. Very
yeah, it was
cool.
weird. It was just like I got hit in the face with a baseball bat for 3 days.
Yeah. Well, at least you're
But
better now.
I am better now.
That is.
So I don't know if the government gave me hantavirus or what, but I'm
It's
glad
possible.
glad to be rid of it. So in terms of the Nürburgring, so this is the race that everyone's been hyping up for a while because they rescheduled this race to
Yeah,
fit
yeah.
Max's Formula One schedule. Um, and so everyone's been hype about it. Max did the 12 hours. Well, so he got his license last year and he set a lap record on his third lap ever
Mhm.
around the Nordschleifer. And or no, that was the full Nürburgring that he set the lap record around for that car in a Ferrari 296. And so everyone was like, hey now, and like all the GT3 fans are like, okay, but it's a fucking hot lap. Actually, famously, one of the uh, GT3 drivers tweeted at Max and he was like, did you have your balance of performance settings correct for those laps? Because everyone's talking about it being the lap record, but like not if you're within spec, it doesn't count. And Max clapped back at him and he was like, why would I go to a racetrack and not race with the BOP settings? Are you fucking retarded? So that guy was oh fuck, I can't even remember his name. Um it was one of the guys in the number 80 Mercedes that Max was battling with. Did you see the okay, I'll get to it. So Max, like, there's discrepancy about whether, like, how fast Max is going to be, like, a year ago, right? So Max comes and he does the 12-hour of Nürburgring to prep for this, right? They win the race, and then after the race, they're disqualified because they did one too many pit stops over the course of the weekend. It was a practice pit stop. So they're disqualified. Effectively, Max wins the race, disqualified, right? Now in qualifying for this weekend, they're setting great times. They have damage on their front splitter, and it fucks their qualifying time up. So they get, like, P4, right? Every single stint through the race that Max drove, Max gets in the car. He's handed a shit position. Either there's someone right behind him or he's not in first. Like the first stint Max did, he got in the car. They're still fourth from the start of the race. Max is like the third or fourth driver to drive. So we're in like hour 4 or 5 at this point. They're still in fourth, right? And by this point, after the pit, Max is down in 10th effectively on the board, right? He gets in the car. At the end of that lap, he's in first. At the end of that lap, he's in first.
Nice.
Net, like not net first, like first first. Like
Wow.
he's pat, yeah. So, and every single time Max got in the car for a stint, it was like he had a small lead to, over the P2 guy and he was in first or he was down on first. Every time Max got out of the car and handed the keys to the next guy, it was in first place with the lead, with a gap to
Wow.
second. Every time. Every time. The first gap Max handed was a 27-second gap to the guy behind. This was Max got in the car in P10 and then left with, this was a 22-second gap. My bad. The second stint Max got in, this is the night stint that he did while I was texting you, like going crazy. It was Max and the guy who was talking shit on Twitter next to each other, approaching the braking zone and back markers, and they hit each other, and then they split the back marker, and then Max makes the overtake, right?
Wow.
And so then Max dunks 6 seconds on that guy's head, gets out of the car, hands the keys to the next guy with a 6-second lead, right? Fucking goobers go and fuck it up for him. And so he gets back in the car with like a very narrow lead over the other Mercedes, who's the sister car. They're the same team, but different cars, right? And so they both get back out on track. The guy's breathing down Max's neck as Max gets back out on track, right? This is like 2 or 3 a.m. our time, right? Gets in the car, fucks off. He ends with like a 45-second lead.
Wow.
Hands it to Goonan, right? Goonan goes out. That 45 seconds drops to 35 over 3 laps because I don't know why he's on that team, dude. I don't even know who he is, but every time he gets in the car, the lead fucking tanks. And they're like, oh, well, when Goonan did a stint in the middle of the night, they were like, oh, they did a brake change, so he has to heat up the breath. Fuck off, Goonan. Jesus. Get on this guy's level. So the gap dwindles like 35 seconds, right? And after 2 laps, he starts driving slowly. And I should clarify, because he's been driving slowly the whole time. He starts driving really slowly, and to the point where the commentators are like, there might be a problem with the car. There is a problem with the car. It's making a box of rocks sound. No one can tell if it's the powertrain or not. The engine note sounds okay, but you can hear the box of rocks, right? And so he slows way down. The other Mercedes gets past him. He makes it to the pits. They take off the wheels, and then they wheel the car into the garage. It's a right-hand rear drive shaft suspension issue in that corner of the car. And so they wheel it in and they fix it just for the last lap to go do like a parade lap with the
Oh, really?
Mercedes. Yeah, that's it.
Damn.
So that's it.
Womp womp.
A 45-second lead. And that was the last stint Max was going to drive. I was wrong. I thought that they were going to put Max out. In rowing, when you do relays, we call it an anchor. It's the last person to go. Because like in a scenario where your strongest person goes in the middle and like builds a big lead, and then your weakest guy goes in with a lead over another team's strongest guy, that strongest guy is going to see he's behind and closing the gap on the weaker guy, and he's going to get extra energy and he's going to go ham.
Yeah.
And he's going to catch your weaker guy. So usually you want a really strong anchor. You put your best guy last because they can overcome the deficit and make magic happen, right? And so I figured they were going to put Max last. They decided to not do that. So Max's last stint, he drove to completion, and Max's last time scheduled to be in the car for the race, he handed a 45-second lead to these dudes. And then through no fault of their own, reliability issues, right?
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Oh well.
So that was the race.
Damn.
But
Sad.
there was still an interesting end to the race, because in the same category there was a Lamborghini that was also a Red Bull car, right?
Yeah.
And they had contact on the first lap, and so they were way down the order like the whole race, and they were carrying like an 80-second penalty or something, right? But as the end of the race was coming to a close, he had track position over the P3 car, who was on the right tires. So he has track position and an advantage, but the guy behind him has the right tires, right? Because it was wet on like half the track, right? And so as we're narrowing down to the end of the race, the other Mercedes is going to win. It's obvious, right? But the Lamborghini has to keep an 86-second gap ahead of this Aston Martin to get second, and he can get second. And at first, everyone's like, there's no shot because he's not on the right tires. But this guy's really good, and he's making it work on slick tires in the rain, and he's keeping the lap time. And so, like, the gap is growing and shrinking depending on where in the lap. And, like, it's really exciting and interesting. Lamborghini puts in a crazy final lap, crosses the line, hands off, there's nothing you can do. It just depends on the Aston Martin, right? The Aston Martin is, like, right on the cusp, and he's got the edge by, like, 2 or 3 seconds. It's looking like he might be able to make it happen. And then as he comes into the last sector, there's a fucking yellow flag with a car off the side of the track.
No
he gets
shit.
slowed down and he ends up third. So the Lamborghini ends up getting second.
That's wild.
Just out of pure luck from that Code 60. So that was a really interesting end to a race that I was only watching for Max Verstappen.
Yeah. No, it was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a good race.
Yeah.
But like, I'll be honest, because I watched the onboard the entire time, right? So like they had the stream that we were watching was the Red Bull Motorsports stream. So they were following Max's car through all the drivers on board. And then they had the worldwide stream in a box down below, right? Worldwide stream, absolute ass. I'll never watch a race ever with the worldwide stream. We're watching an intense battle for the lead in an onboard cam with Max Verstappen, and they're showing like a fucking Porsche Cup car in the pit lane with like a broken rear diffuser. I'm not watching that, right? But in Max's car, when fucking Goober Goonan was driving, right, I was not interested at all in watching what was going on. And when Max gets in the car, it's, dude, I watched a 2-hour stint where like every 30 seconds I was like, oh boy, dude, that was fucking close. Like that.
Yeah,
like,
did you see him get air?
Yeah, that was his first stint.
Yeah,
That was 3 or 4 minutes into his first stint, and he like got air, went on the grass, and then recovered it. And I was like, dude, dude, his night stint, like the one that we were watching at the same time, dude, like, I hope to feel that way once during an F1 race, you know? It gives me the same type of love that I feel when I watch rally driving, like onboard rally cam. But I was like, dude, like it really is, it's the Max Verstappen effect. Cause like when you watch other drivers, like they'll only take that kind of risk if it's necessary. And for Max, it's always necessary. It's like he always goes for it, and he always makes it fucking work. And so this ties into my life lesson that I'll talk about later on. But like he always fucking makes it work. Like every time you're like, holy shit, he's gonna hit that guy, right? He doesn't. Like it just he just makes it fucking work, which is craziness. But yeah, it was great to watch.
It was cool to watch. Yeah,
it was great to watch, and it comforted me, because a big fear that I've had the last few years is if Max leaves F1, then I'm gonna continue to watch a sport that like I don't really like. Like the sport has lost its soul. All that's left is Max. And so if Max leaves, I don't even know if I'll care enough to watch. And so like a big part of my life that makes me happy is gone. But then I realized there are other people who feel the same way and will create broadcasts for Max wherever he goes.
Yeah.
And ultimately for me, I realized I don't really give a shit what kind of motor racing it is. As long as Max Verstappen is doing it, it'll be entertaining. And someone will be streaming it. And so I can watch.
Right.
And so I feel a lot more, what I've learned from this event in particular is that even if Max leaves F1, as long as he's alive and breathing, like I'll have something entertaining that I could watch, right?
Right.
And even if he doesn't, even if he dies, right? Because like it happens all the time at the Nürburgring and Buddy loves it there, right? I can watch replays. Let's just go back and I'll rewatch the 2021
Plenty of
F1
replays
season.
to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my life update.
Cool.
What is your business update this week?
So for business this week, I got a decent amount here. So in terms of the potential shop space, that's still in work. I did get confirmation that the guy is moving out.
Cool.
Currently with the few things that he has in there. And the tooling that I talked about from the guy who I bought most of this stuff from, he said that a vast majority of that's still available. He gave away a couple things, but like workbenches and the welder and a few other odds and ends he still got, which is super cool.
But they're cool odds and ends, right? There's like a fucking lathe and like a CNC machine and stuff.
Yeah. So I'll get to that.
Okay.
There's a drill press there, and then yeah. So this week as well, the CNC machine and the lathes are not coming from the guy I bought all the Porsche stuff from.
Oh,
That's actually coming from the owner of the complex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was
Sick,
like,
dude.
"Oh yeah, when you move in, I have a CNC and a lathe and a few other things I'll give to you." And he was
Hell yeah.
like, "The CNC and lathe, like they need a little bit of work, but like they're solid machines, so you can get them to work." And I was like, "Oh, that's super sick." Because I was literally looking that weekend for CNCs. Because I was like, if I want to like make cool custom shit, like I kind of need a CNC and a
What
lathe.
kind of CNC is it?
No clue.
Okay, got it.
No clue. I don't know if it's 2-axis or 4-axis.
Got it.
I don't know.
Got it. 4-axis would be kind of crazy. I'm guessing it's.
I mean, they're out there for sure. I mean,
yeah, but I
seen
mean,
them
like
on
for him to
Marketplace.
gift one to you would be nuts.
Yeah. I don't know
But
what
yeah.
it is. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But that would be super cool. I look forward to that. Whatever it is, I'm sure I can make
Even a
use of it.
3-axis would be fucking sick, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I can make use of anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's all great. And then
space for all that in the bay.
I think so. So I was thinking about it,
Mhm.
and I was like, "There's going to be a good amount of stuff." But the thing is that it's 1,000 square feet, and it's single bay.
Okay.
So if it's single bay, he said it's a wide single bay. So I'm guessing around, it's either going to be like 20 feet by 50 feet,
Okay.
right? Or it's going to be like 25 feet by 40 feet,
Okay.
about. And like 40 feet's a good length. The length of 1914 is 14 and a half feet.
Right.
So with like 2 back to back in the corner, that's like 30 feet. And then I still have like 15 to 20 feet in the front, which is snug. But what I'm thinking about doing is, first off, I don't know how much of each chassis I'm going to keep, or if I'm going to keep all of them. One car can always live at my place. And then the other thing too that I was thinking about is for the shells, instead of having them like flat, like cars, like sitting like normal cars, I thought about doing this in the storage unit, and I didn't need to end up doing it, so I never made it. But what I can do is build a wooden frame rolling dolly, and then cut pieces to the shape of the side of the body line. So like a front quarter panel shaped wooden piece, like a slat, and then another slat that goes like by the door, and then a little bit back on the door, and then the rear quarter, and they're shaped like the actual body panels.
Okay.
And those would go on the bottom of this rolling dolly, and the whole car would sit on the side.
So you're making like a cradle?
It wouldn't be like a rolling cradle, it would just be like a storage cradle.
Okay.
Where the whole car would sit on the side. So instead of like flat like this, the car would sit like this.
Right.
And then the bottom would be shaped to contour to the car. And then I could stack them side by side in the back as shells if I wanted to do that.
Right.
And they're not like super heavy. Like if you had like 4 or 5 people, like you could lift that car up and tilt it.
I mean, if you built the cradle, you could rotate the cradle sideways, snug it up to the car, ratchet strap everything down, and then just flip the whole thing.
Yeah, but the cradle has to have a loop, so the loop's gonna take up a lot of space. That's the hard part with the cradle.
Oh, you want it to go all the way around.
No. If I did, then there would be no point for space saving. Like I need it to be super slim.
Right. I'm maybe not
Yeah.
conceptualizing the right way then. My thinking is like if you take the car and then you turn it sideways,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
what
you
I'm
have
thinking.
something, and then you have wood slats that like kind of hold it like this, like ribs.
That's basically what I'm saying.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Well, what I'm
Yeah.
saying is like while you have the car sideways, you just take the ribs, ratchet strap it this way, and then
Yeah, you could do that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So like you don't have to pick up the car and roll it. You could like get the lighter wood, fit it up, ratchet strap it, and then tilt the whole thing over.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Get creative with
semantics.
it. But
Yeah.
so that's stuff I'm thinking about. But yeah, I'm gonna try and really make space for the CNC,
Hmm.
the lathe, the welder, workbenches, toolbox, lift. Those are the priorities
Yeah.
because I need those things to actually do anything.
Right.
And then the actual cars, I'll see how much I can fit in there and kind of juggle accordingly from there.
I would say yes to everything first, get it, and then figure out how to make it work. Kind of like what you did with all the Porsche stuff, the 914 stuff.
Yeah, like
It's
I never thought I was gonna fit all this stuff in the
Yeah.
20x20, but
right. Just
made
say
it work.
yes, and then figure out how to make it work from there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm usually pretty smart with my space. So I have confidence that I can make it work to in some degree.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much where I'm at with that stuff. I'm just waiting to get the remaining blocks until I move in because he's right next door. It'd be
Right.
easier than me driving Sammy's car over there or the BMW, then lugging them and then putting them in the storage unit and then just having to move them again immediately.
Right.
It's very stupid. So that's what I'm waiting for there. And in kind of in similar fashion, not much movement on the shop space besides that, but then in similar fashion, not much movement on the storage unit right now, just because I don't have much to do in there at this point. I've finished all of my inventory and logging.
Yeah.
I got all my eBay stuff ready to list. I was going to list it last night, but I worked on other stuff instead. So no progress there. I did ship out another magazine that sold, and I'm still trying to get the one that got lost in the mail back to me. USPS is like being really challenging to work with. Essentially because it's because it's at a distribution center, and USPS, like the one you go to, that's not a distribution center.
Yeah.
They're categorized differently. They can't do anything about a distribution center holding your package.
They can't call them.
They can't call them, or that's their claim. Can't call them, can't email them, can't contact them. They can't do anything. So you have to call 1-800-ASK-USPS, which you know how that would go. You can probably imagine.
Yeah.
And so I call them, and this is a real kicker. They're like, oh, you can do a, what's it called? You can intercept the package
Okay.
at the distribution center and give them a new address. So I'm like, okay, great, because the address was wrong. That was the whole problem, right? So I go online, I intercept the package. You have to input the address that it was originally shipped to, along with the tracking number, to kind of get confirmation that like, hey, like this is where it was, this is my package, and this is where I want it to go. Because the address was wrong, USPS doesn't recognize it as a real address. So when you go to intercept the package on USPS.com, it says error, this address is not found.
Dude.
But they still fucking printed the label for that address. That's the kicker.
So it's at the distribution
So they'll
center
print you a
with
label for
bullshit
fucking
label?
anything. But then when you try to intercept the package because the address is wrong, the portal will say, no, we can't do that because the address is wrong.
So it's just stuck there forever then.
So I did another thing. I opened a claim on the package.
Okay.
A lost package claim, which is not really something I want to do because it's not technically fucking lost. Like I can see it on the tracking.
Yeah.
But I opened a claim and I said, hey, if you find this package, and I gave them all the info of like exactly where it is.
If you find it on
If you
shelf
find it.
C.
Because this is the other kicker. USPS gave me 3 different return address zip codes. None of them were my address zip code. They gave me 3 different return address zip codes.
Did you have a return address on the package?
Yes, it's through eBay. They gave me 3 different ones. And the lady at the counter was like, well, they have to ship it back to your return address. And I'm like, you tell me how I get 3 return addresses zip codes on one package. Does that make any sense to you? Can you explain that to me? It's like fucking so stupid.
Invalid address.
Anyways, I did a lost package and I said, if you find this package, ship it back to blah, 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 and put my address. So hopefully that actually gets the package back to me, and then I can actually ship it to him
Yeah.
under a new label. But it's just like, it's ridiculous. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Oh, it's ridiculous. On top of the only reason this is happening is because Buddy typed in the wrong address 4 times
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
did the
It
face
is what it
verification
is.
and then gave a thumbs up and then was like, "Oh shit, I've never lived here before."
Yeah, he messed
My
it up.
bad.
It's all right. You know, it
Yeah,
is what
but
it
if
is.
he doesn't get his package, it's like on him, you know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. And I mean,
unfortunate.
he
but-
recognizes that for sure.
Yeah.
But I'd still like to get it to him. I mean,
Oh,
he
for
paid
sure.
$300 for something that
No, absolutely. Yeah.
I would like him to see, and he obviously wants to get.
Yeah, but if the incompetence of the U.S. government is gonna mean this package is never found again, if this is the package that ends up at the island from Castaway with Tom Hanks,
Yeah.
should have.
I mean,
I
I
checked
thought
the
about-
address.
I thought about being like, hey, like if you want to send me another like 100 or 150 or something like that, I'll drive to the distribution center, which is on the West Coast, and physically retrieve this.
Oh,
and
of
send it to
Florida.
you. Like, yeah.
Okay, like
No,
California.
God.
I was like, dude, what?
No,
Got
in
it, okay.
Tampa. I
Yeah.
was like, I'll drive to Tampa and get it.
Yeah.
But like, I need more money for that to
Yeah.
compensate me for that.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's the deal with that package.
I'm sorry. Is this one that you have a duplicate magazine of, or is this so?
No, this was one of my set that's no longer.
Okay.
But I mean, it's like whatever. Like, I'm never gonna fucking read these things. I'm just waiting for
Right.
them to like essentially go unpublished. Like they
Mhm.
won't be continue to be published, and I'll sell them. And this was
Mhm.
one of them, which is why I was able to charge 3 times more.
Well, my thinking was if you had a duplicate of this one, you could offer to sell him that one at like a small discount or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Say like, hey, you know,
Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't. It's my only one.
sorry.
But then a majority of my week this week was rather fun. So what I've been doing is designing what I want to build. And I'm at least right now I'm settled on 914.
Okay.
That's the route I'm going. And then I kind of chronologically laid out. Well, I didn't. Claude AI did before I came here. Because it was a bunch of shit. So I just had it write these bullet points for me. But essentially the path was last week I talked about like Singer, Runge, Tut Hill, and the other companies and kind of how they started. Researched market data and a bunch of other different options. We went over that last week. And so from there, I stemmed and essentially developed with AI and myself and my own ideas 20 different 914 concepts. They included resto mod, wide body, safari style, shooting brake, speedster, Baja, a Bonneville, tube frame, chassis, like tons of different stuff. I just wanted to get ideas on paper. So I started with those. And then for all of this, I used ChatGPT and Gemini image generators in sync to see which versions I liked more and whatever. From that, I took those and then wrote detailed replies to AI of what I liked and didn't like about each. And also got my brain thinking about like what I like and don't like. So from there, I really liked the shooting brake style initially. And then part of me didn't really quite like it, and I was like very back and forth. Like it's like really hard to decide when you have like 3 or 4 different concepts that are so different that you like all of them. It's like really hard to like pick. And so I was like,
for shooting brake, you would build like a cover for the back.
yes,
Okay, got
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Got it.
It would almost look like a wagon. I'll show you photos after. It was really neat.
Yeah.
But the problem I had with it was what I loved about it also is what I hated about it. And it was like, I love the fact that it had, because the 914 was kind of this blend between Volkswagen and Porsche. And so I loved that the shooting brake almost reminded me of like camping style Volkswagen. Like it was really interesting. And I like had these visions of like, oh, like, you could lift up like this bottom, because the way I had the trunk laid out was you had a flat portion that covered the whole traditional engine bay and trunk.
Yeah.
And then above that, you could have stacked stuff. And then below that would have been a regular trunk. And in there, I wanted to have like camping chairs and a little table and like picnic setup, like kind of like Range Rover style, like luxury Range Rover.
Yeah.
I wanted to like kind of do that. And I was like, oh, that'd be super sick. And I was thinking about it and I was like, the thing is that it feels like a car that was chopped together. Like and it was a really clean render. But the thing that I didn't like about it was that the front end of the car still looked 914. and the back of the car looked like a wagon, and I couldn't unsee the fact that it looked like two cars that were just meshed together. It was like part of the reason why I like love and hate the Miata shooting brakes. Is
I
like
haven't
the
seen
Miata,
Miata shooting
there's like
brakes.
renders online and stuff, but it's like the back half looks really neat. But then you look at the front half and you're like, this is so stupid.
Yeah, that's the thing about a lot of wagons for me.
Yeah,
I'm not a wagon person for the most part because to me, it looks like you took a regular car and then you just like
added.
gave it a fucking BBL. Yeah.
Yeah, like the only cars that I like kind of like are the ones that were kind of developed as wagons.
The 1980 Cressida wagon that Shaw and I
Mm,
owned, I really loved because when I look at it, I don't see a four-door sedan with a big
right,
ass on it. I see a wagon,
right.
right?
And
I
like
see
the
the whole
Volvo
thing.
wagons are kind of similar to that.
Yeah.
Like when you imagine a
Yep.
Volvo, you imagine a wagon.
Yep. I don't like the Ferrari wagon for that
Yeah,
same
no, it's
reason.
ugly.
Yeah, because of oh, okay, yeah, I see this render now.
Yeah,
Yeah, that looks retarded.
yeah,
It
yeah.
looks like a
So
Honda Civic.
that was the problem I had with it, and I'll show you some renders offline too. And I was really struggling with that. And then so I started rendering other stuff like Martini livery stuff, Jägermeister stuff, Rothmans, Gulf racing liveries, other stuff like that. Like maybe I want a racing livery on a more stock looking 914.
Huh?
And I liked some of them,
Mhm.
but I didn't like all of them for the same reason. They all felt like they were trying to be something that they weren't. It all felt like I couldn't get the image of a 911 or a 935 out of my head when I looked at the car, and no matter like how I morphed the car or changed the car, it always felt like it was trying to be something that was not.
Okay.
And I really didn't want that. I wanted the car to just speak for itself as it is.
Okay.
Um, so I was looking at that stuff and I was like, no, and I was like going through all of this back and forth about it. And the kind of principle that I set on is the car needs to be artwork. It cannot be just I took a car and modified it.
Mhm.
It needs to be full artwork in some way. And I was looking at body kits of 914s online and different builds, and every single one of them just said to me like, this is just a modification. Like this is just like someone came up with a kit, and it feels like a kit. Like you look at it and it's very kit-like, and I hated that. I was like, I don't want to build a friggin' kit car, because then it doesn't fall. Then it falls into the bucket of like Joe Schmo built this car, and he got some kit stuff together, and he bought some stuff online, and then he threw it together. Like even if it takes a
Yeah.
ton of effort, it's always going to feel like Amazon budget build with a body kit.
Have you seen the Camaro Evo 37? It's the it's this.
Mm.
This
Oh
thing.
yeah, 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 yeah.
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 So this is a full carbon fiber car. It's its own unique car, but it's modeled after was it the Lancer 037?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lancia. Yeah.
Lancia 037. But it's completely custom, but it's stylized in that art form,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
It's not a Lancia that they like put carbon fiber wheels on and stuff. It's not like they modified an existing
Yeah.
Lancia. It's like its own thing with Lancia design language.
Yeah. And the only car that I could find that was kind of close was if you look up 1511 Porsche 914. Essentially what it is for the viewers is the front end is restyled, the pop-ups are eliminated. It's now the headlights and turn signals are in the side markers where they would have been traditionally, the turn signals on the front. And the front quarters are reshaped, the rear is reshaped and stuff like that. But the problem I
Oh,
had with this
interesting.
car was that it still felt resto mod like.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it still very much spoke to me like this is a resto mod of someone who wanted to do modern performance stuff, but it doesn't speak like artwork to me. It doesn't flow like art.
Mhm.
It just feels like expensive. And obviously the car is going to be challenging to build and it's
Mhm.
going to take some financial hurdle, but I didn't want people to look at the car and go, "Oh, this is cool because it's expensive." I
Yeah.
wanted people to look at the car and go, "Oh, this is beautiful because it's art." And those
Yeah.
are like very, very different.
You know what really kills this car for me is the bumper. It's the front. It's the black on the front bumper, the
Yeah.
like bra that it has that really kills it for me. I like the slats,
Yeah.
these body lines right here, the gills
Yeah, the gills
here
are
and
cool.
here are cool,
Yeah.
but like this whole front fascia here really kills the vibe. For
Yeah,
me. It
and
looks
the
like a
other thing
fucking like a Elantra or something.
and the stock looking taillights are really what kills it for me too. Like if you look at the taillights,
Yeah.
it's like the whole car has been reformed and then you slapped on stock taillights.
Yeah.
And so that's something I really struggled with. I was like, damn, I was like, the lights are a really integral part of how the car speaks.
Yeah.
And so it just felt like a cop out when I was looking at that. And I was like, well, shit, like if I want to get away from that, it's going to be challenging because I have to get different lights.
Well, it's also tough because it's like, are you like taillights also have a lot of character to a car.
Yeah.
So like the Corvette guys went crazy when the C8 or when the C7 headlights changed the round,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, the taillights, the round taillights, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because to a lot of Corvette guys, the 4 round taillights were a
Like the
Corvette.
signal.
Yeah. And so like if you start to mess with like those types of elements, it's like, is this a 914 Resto or is this a is this
Something
are you
else.
trying to be separate from a 914 or are you paying homage to a 914 in your own way? Like
Right.
it gets ambiguous, right?
And so I was, going through all these things, like you said there too, and thinking about what I wanted. And what I landed on, I'll show you it. This was like an offhand conceptual idea. I stopped doing the detailed prompting for the image generator, and I was like, just generate stuff that's
Oh,
creative.
they did the rear bumper dirty too.
Yeah.
Do you see this? The fucking black square.
Yeah, it's the thing is that it is 914. Like the 914 is square like that.
Yeah,
But the thing is like it just looks like this cost me a lot of money to get,
Yeah.
and not like this is a piece of artwork. And that's what I don't like about it.
yeah.
And the thing I like about, like, if you look at the Singer DLC Turbo, like that's their newest turbo model car. I think it's DLC. It'll pop up. Like that car is like really reimagined. Like that car is incredible, right? And that car, when you look at it, is like, oh man, this is artwork.
It's a crazy wing.
This
dude.
is insane, right? Yeah. Yeah. No, it's insane.
Yeah,
And it's modular too. So you
can
get 2
swap it
wings
out.
when you buy it.
That's
So it's like that car, I looked at it and I was like, wow, this is artwork. And so I was like, what can I do? And so I settled, and I wanted it to be subtle. What I'd realized through these iterations is that all of the super race car looking stuff always felt like trying to be a race car, but wasn't quite a race car. And I wanted the car to speak in a way that it was very artful, and it clearly indicated that it had racing heritage, but wasn't like blunt about it with like stripes and logos and shit like that. Like I didn't want it to be blunt.
Okay.
I want it to be very subtle. And so it was a challenging thing to do. I mean, it took me. I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
I think I've gotten the exterior body line done. Right now, what I'm working on is the interior. And it took me a long time. And so what I settled on was a wide body, modern speedtail style Targa with a higher sloped wing. And it's pretty cool. I'll show you renders of it. It's hard to describe.
A speed tail meaning you've got a longer rear deck and a high wing.
Very slightly. And it's not necessarily longer. It is slightly, but it's the way that it shapes to the back is speedtail.
It's the longer rear deck lid.
Yes.
Not bumper.
But it's
like
actually
deck
like
lid.
the total length of the deck lid is not that much longer. It's just how it curves up from the bottom that gives it that bit of an illusion.
Okay.
I'll show you images. I think it's really, really beautiful.
And a rear wing?
And in a rear wing that's integrated with, you'll never find images.
I'm just looking at 914 with rear wing because I haven't seen them with a wing.
The ones with the rear wing, they look ugly. They're like kits.
Yeah.
And the problem is that I identified this problem after a lot of iterations.
Well, also with the way that the stock 914 is designed, like there's such a big gap behind the Targa that like the rear wings don't fucking do anything. So
yes. And the other thing is too, is there's a massive separation between the Targa top supports and the rear wing.
Yeah.
And that gap, not only from an aerodynamics perspective, but it also is visually unappealing because it feels like 2 separate entities.
Yeah.
And so I was like, how do you combine this? And I went through these designs where I had like supports coming off the top of the Targa and like sloping down and back and then into a wing. And the problem I had was that they were too accentuated. What ended up happening is the back end was really beautiful, but then when you looked at the front end, the back end felt super fat because it had this extra stuff on it and it was pretty, but it never complemented the front.
Yeah.
And so I had to go to something lower profile that was more sleek so that when it came to the front end, it flowed better. And then after I got the back end done, I was like, whoa, shit, the back end's so beautiful now and it's exactly how I want it, but the front end looks like shit. Because the front end still had that boxy pop-up style to it. And so I went through many iterations on the front end as well. It took a long time for me to even figure out like what I wanted. And image generation's gotten a lot better. And so it was a lot easier for me to work with it in that respect, but it was challenging to even figure out what I wanted conceptually. And so what I settled on
Look at that
is,
front bumper. It's a
yeah,
lot sleeker than the
yes.
other
So I'll
ones.
show you the ones the car I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
It's much more similar to that.
But when I'm looking at the rear wings, like what I'm noticing is like it's the back.
Yeah.
This thing here looks like it's had a fucking bite taken out of it.
Yep.
And so like the
exactly.
whole back end of the car, this feels like really empty space. It
Yes.
doesn't flow at all.
Yeah, no, it's not good. That's
It's
actually
like
pretty neat with the wing coming off the tail of the Targa.
yeah, but you still
That's
have
kinda cool.
it still has this like weird open air
Yeah,
feel
if you could actually
behind it.
screenshot that for me and send it to
Here,
me,
I'll
because I
send it
have an
to you.
idea of how to integrate that, but, that's kinda neat. But, what I settled on as well is the front lights and the rear lights, I have to be custom. And so part of what I did this week is also researching, like, how hard is this stuff to do? Um, it's nice to have an image generation, but, like, fucking you gotta make it real at some point.
Yeah.
And so I looked at custom light companies, and there are some companies out there that will do completely custom lights for you, for like hot rodders.
Yeah, they're really cheap. They're
Oh yeah,
$40.
yeah, super cheap. But what I realized is that I can alleviate a lot of the cost by getting a 3D printer and 3D printing the housings. The housings I can 3D print, and the light and the LED strips I can 3D print. Really, what I would need is someone to do the plexiglass cover in a really high resolution, optical grade uh, plastic cover. That's what I would really need help with, because that's really hard to do at home. You need like a kiln, and you need expensive materials and blah, blah, blah. So that's really tough.
Yeah.
But the other stuff I could do, so there's obviously going to be a lot of work here. And also what I played around with was glass covers for the engine bay on the back, extending across the trunk as like one uniform piece. And some of the things I struggled with was I couldn't get a balance between the rear window, like they looked like separate entities when you had the rear window and then another glass piece. And the glass piece felt like it was just there to be a glass piece. And so I had a really hard time integrating that to look good. And I tried making the glass piece from the top of the Targa top back and sloped, but then because there was so little negative space there, it felt really big, and then the front didn't work.
Also, if you have that kind of cover, it starts to feel like a 911.
Yeah, in some ways, and it almost felt like a hatch as well because of like how it sloped back.
Yeah.
And so I was really struggling with this, and I settled on a design that I really like. And the interior is what I'm working on right now. I have a couple iterations that I really love. And I have like an orange and white interior that I really, really like.
Well, what are the exterior colors?
Right now I'm going for cream with orange accents.
Okay, got it.
That's what I'm thinking about, but I'm still like kind of in the mix.
Base color cream with orange accents?
Yeah,
Okay,
like
got
a
it.
white cream with orange accents, like very, very small orange accent, like one line on the bottom rocker.
Got it. So
Yeah.
mostly soft white.
Yeah, soft white. And so that's what I'm going through right now. I'm still going through iterations on the exterior color of the car, and playing around with different stuff. But also part of my week was figuring out like how I'm going to build this. And so that's where a good amount of the research came in as well. Was what I'm thinking about. I have two different paths I can kind of go down. I saw a guy on Instagram who did these really thin metal wire lines, and he fabricated the entire outside of the car with these thin metal wire lines that he just like tacked together, like super small. And then after that, he made essentially tape molds over these, and then he took off the tape and then he cut it, and then he laid it flat on a piece of sheet metal and then cut the sheet metal and then formed it, and etc. And I was like, that works pretty well. And then I saw another guy who did a similar thing, and then with clay, like old style, and then he created fiberglass molds off of the clay, and then laid in his actual fiberglass pieces in that mold, and then sealed them to the car with like, there's a 3M body sealer with then some filler to contour out the edges where the fiberglass meets the actual metal. And so I'm really 50-50 about what I want to do. I still have to research like pros and cons in that respect and figure out how I want to approach it, because the full metal like one uniform piece. Like I saw a guy in Denver who was doing like some really incredible metal work, and dude, it looked gorgeous. Like it was crazy what he was able to do. And I was like, that is really, really beautiful. But I also want to make the car, like I want to get the car out there. And I want to balance this as well with how much, because the thing is that because the car is a unibody, the more of the steel that you cut away and take away, the more you sacrifice the rigidity of the car.
So it's
Because
steel
the
body?
fenders, yeah, because
Okay.
the fenders are integral components to the actual rigidity.
Okay.
And so the more you cut away of that, and then you just add on fiberglass, the more you kind of take away from the rigidity of the car. So that's a balance that I have to work with as well.
Yeah.
And obviously you can have bracing elsewhere, but you have to be smart about it. And so that's kind of the stuff I was going through. Some of the other stuff I was going through was CAD models for how to actually CAD model the car, 3D scanning, what that would look like, how I could reasonably build that together. What does a 3D scan actually give you? How accurate is it? How easy is it to put a 3D scan in CAD and then get a workable CAD model? It's actually incredibly hard because the way that traditional CAD models work, they work off of functions, like mathematical functions, and to get the curvatures of the fenders and stuff like that is really, really hard in CAD. And so to actually take a scan, the scan is easy, but then to actually get a CAD model to reflect that scan is really hard because of those curvatures and the contours.
But even if you can get a CAD model that's perfect, how do you relay a CAD model into the fender in your hand?
Right.
And like that's yeah, I think at the end of the day, you're gonna end up having to go with something manual like the wireframing or like a clay or
Yes,
something.
I think that'll be a lot easier. I think some stuff will be good to CAD up, especially like if I want to CNC anything or if I want to send anything to a company called Send Cut Send, which forms sheet metal that you
Stands
can
for
assemble.
feasible. Yeah.
Yep, stamp sheet metal and stuff like that. So if I want to do any of that stuff, it could be really useful. But for a majority of the car, I think I'm going to go old school on it because it also gives a really nice visual idea of how the car is going to look, and it allows me to make tweaks on a physical car that I can see rather than in a model that I'm going to spend a ton of time with and I think will be underutilized. And so that's what I was approaching a lot of those different fabrication approaches. I'm still looking into them with different colors, interior style, and stuff like that. And to make the 914 interior work for the car style that I want to do, what I'm realizing is that the colors, I can't go too crazy with the colors because it kind of just looks like a mosaic. But if I pick 2 or 3 colors and then use different textures and fabric types, it can actually really stand out in a really beautiful way. And so that's kind of the route that I'm looking at right now. But
Do you like crazy interior cars? Like something that's always stuck out to me is that I fucking hate the Bugatti Chiron because you cannot get an interior that just looks normal. Like when you order a Bugatti Chiron, they're like, "Do you want everything to be like dominatrix red leather? Or do you want everything to be like you just took LSD blue?" And like the whole everything is like bright blue. And like
yeah.
it just drives me insane.
So I like those interiors to an extent, but I want it to be more subtle. And the way that I've been trying to make it more subtle is by incorporating different fabrics. So it doesn't feel like you look inside the car and everything is just the same big red leather or whatever it is, right? It feels like, oh, this piece, although it's a similar color, the same color, it's different and it's accentuated in a different way because the fabric and the way it's laid on is different.
Gotcha.
And so that's really what I'm going for. And so I've been going through a lot of prompting, a lot of iterations, a lot of different sketches. And I think I've settled on exterior that I really, really like. And I have an interior that I like, but I'm still trying to work that stuff out. I anticipate hopefully by next week I'll have some good renders of what I want the final car to look like generally. But that has been a
This is what I'm
majority.
talking about.
Yeah, it's
This
just
makes me
it's
sick.
too much.
This
It's
makes
way
me
too
want to
much.
fucking
Yeah,
vomit.
this is not
Yeah.
the style that I'm going for
Yeah.
in that way.
The
'Cause it's
first sport's
just
a lot better, but this is fucking
yeah, like that is
yeah.
nicer.
This is the
Um,
Chiron that I grew up with, and this is a huge reason why young Mason didn't like Bugattis at all because I was like, this is so gaudy, it makes me want to kill myself.
yeah,
But
no, it's gross.
I've always been like a very low-key interior kind of guy, so like that's just a personal preference.
Yeah, what I'm trying to strike is the balance between low key but clearly one of zero.
God.
That's where I'm trying to strike.
Got it.
And so I think I have some concepts I'll show you, but that has been a majority of my week, figuring out what I want to build and how I want to build it.
Mhm.
And it ties into my lesson learned later on.
Mhm.
But that is a majority of my business update.
Would you guys show me pictures or no?
Yes, yeah, I am. I
Right
figured
now,
we'd
or?
take a in the break, and then you could comment back.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll take a break.
yeah, we'll take a break. But that has been a majority of my business
Okay.
update, and we'll go through the photos and then come back.
Okay, so I'm taking a look at these photos. Sandra just walked me through the photos. I think that what thoughts do you want from me? What do you want? What you
Whatever
want?
you want. I mean, kind of my thing was like the front end design knew had to be remade once I
Mhm.
saw the back end coming together because the front end no longer fit with the back end of the car.
Yeah.
And the real distinction was the lights and the way they were set up, I think made the biggest changes as well as fender contours.
Mhm.
Um, and so that's really where I'm playing with. And the tough thing is that the ones that look more stock would be easier to make, but I like them less. And
Yeah.
once I saw the one that was like really speedtail style, I was like, oh no, like this is super cool.
Yeah.
And then after that point, I was like, oh no, like I have to make this car. I got to figure out how to make this.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I landed.
The front looks a lot better. I think the front fixes a lot of the design issues that I personally have with the 914.
Yeah,
Having these like humps be without headlight makes it look more like an aerodynamic wheel arch feature and less like I'm trying to get my reflector strip to a height that like regulations need me to hit in the
yeah, yeah,
1980s,
yeah,
which I like a lot. It feels like this front end feels like the keychain that you have, the Miata
yeah, yeah,
keychain,
yeah,
which I like. It would
yeah,
be interesting to see how the 488 like swoosh
yeah.
hood you have in an earlier design fits in here. I don't know how practical that would be like effectively because like it's air cooled, so you
That's
don't
kind
need.
of part of the reason where I jumped away from it
Yeah,
was because it takes away all the front trunk space,
yeah,
and I want the car to be usable.
yeah. You don't have any
Um,
rear trunk space here. Now,
there can be in the render, it's not doing a good job of forming that, but I
do you have
know
it
of how
back
the
here?
engine sits and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like there, that engine doesn't sit that far back and it doesn't sit that high.
Yeah, so that's
So
talking about the rear. I think that the fender flares look good. I think this component here looks a
yeah,
lot better.
the way the target top streams back
Yeah,
to the wing.
this section looks better.
Yeah,
I think I would even pull this arch out a little further to create more of like a like if you're
yeah,
looking at the car from a side profile
like a
instead of
softer
looking,
bow.
yeah, make it go kind of like this
Yeah,
instead of
yeah,
like this. I think the swoosh of the back of the Targa makes it look to me like the 914 has had a bite taken out of the back of it, and I think that this starts to really help fill that negative space out for me.
yeah, yeah. It's something I can play with for
Mhm.
sure. Um,
I,
the balance that I have to strike is when you start filling out the rear too much to try and make it too kind of when you don't have enough of an edge in there and you start
mhm,
to fill it out, it becomes larger and then the
mhm,
front starts to look like a separate
mhm,
car to the rear. That's a
yeah.
balance that I was having a hard time to strike. But I mean, I'm still playing with it.
Well, I think what
Um,
helps with that is that the body line from the very front arch, the nub where there's now no headlight, that body line you can follow all the way back through across the door, across the rear fender, and where in the regular car it kind of dies, now you start to bring that body line up into the tail.
yes.
And so you're tying the design language from the front of the car to the rear. A big issue with the standard 914 design that I have is that the front has its own design language, and then the windshield is kind of smacked on there at like a really high rake angle and then doesn't go anywhere, and the
Yeah.
Targa's flat on the top, so it doesn't really like flow at all. But this starts to fix that issue. I think that the glass deck lid looks really cool.
Hmm.
Acrylic is maybe the move there because you're putting a lot of glass over the engine there. That's going to
Yeah.
get real heavy and real hot.
Yeah.
I
It would
think
have to be acrylic.
Yeah, I think also if you had it a little bit lower, then it doesn't make the rear end so like at the end of the day, it's still a small car. It's still like a Miata, right? And so you don't want the rear to get so big and heavy that it starts to fuck up the balance of the car because you still want it to drive well, right?
Yeah.
But I think that the render does a disservice to what you would actually end up designing, which is a lower glass top over the engine, and the engine would sit lower too, so it doesn't look as high and heavy as it is in the render.
Yeah, I think that probably the glass. I'm not quite sure. That's part of the reason why I wanted to do clay.
Mhm,
Is that I can slap on clay to the car for pretty cheap and really form it
mhm,
well, and I can use one of the scrap chassis that I have to do it
mhm.
and to really visualize it. Um, but I want to play with that. It, you know, it's a balance. I need to work with it still.
Mhm.
But overall, I really love the way that that rear end floats with the taillights, and I like
Yeah,
the overall. I really like the way that the front end looks on the car.
yeah, I agree. Yeah,
I
this
think
does
it's
a lot
super
for me
pretty.
here.
Yeah, that's what really does it. That slope
Yeah,
back from the target top there.
yeah, that helps a lot.
I really like that.
This is a cool shot in front of the marina.
Yeah.
I'm shocked with how well Gemini does this.
Yeah, Gemini is doing a really good job. ChatGPT also did a really awesome job
Yeah.
too.
I think in the other designs, there's a hole here to create the wing. It's not like a ducktail, it's a full
Yeah,
wing, right? Yeah. I
I
think
think
the way
I
that's
would do
better.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
no, these are good.
different designs, different ideas.
Yeah.
But I was really trying to get like a vision down of like what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
Because that was the challenging thing was like how crazy do I want to go with this?
Right.
And then if I'm gonna go really crazy with it, I want it to be a car that I really love.
Mhm.
And the thing is that I like the 914, but I don't love the way it looks.
Yeah.
And so that was the problem I had. The other challenge is going to be here is that the engine is something that's going to have to complement the style of the car.
It's gotta look good through the glass.
It's got to look good through the glass, but it also has to be something that like the motor actually speaks to what the car is.
Mhm.
And so right now,
Not a four banger.
no, it can't be a four cylinder.
Yeah.
And that's the another challenge is it has to be a flat six. I know there's several conversions of 2.4, 2.7, 3 liter and 3.2 liter flat sixes that go in these cars. What I'm leaning towards right now is something between around a 3 to 3.2 liter.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to figure out whether I want naturally aspirated or I want to throw boost at it and make it turbo. And I really do like the idea of the turbo.
When do you want the product to be finished?
So this is another thing I thought about was like this is gonna take me so long. Um,
That depends.
it depends, long in relative respects. But I was thinking, I was like, okay, because I was looking at Singer, for example.
Mhm.
Singer's been around for 17 years now,
Mhm.
and they went from like single bay, small shop, putting out like just one car or two cars. Now they're like they've put out 500 cars this year
Right.
between their restoration program and their like Singer like actual specialty program.
Yeah.
They have tons of employees, massive warehouse, big headquarters in 17 years, right?
Mhm.
And he started when he was 45.
Mhm.
And so I'm thinking about, I'm like, okay, I'm like 25 right now.
How long did his first car take?
I think he said around 2 years,
Okay.
but he didn't go to the extent that I'm going.
Right.
Um, and so I'm thinking about it, even in the timeline of 5 to 7 years
Mhm.
to make this car, which is like kind of crazy to think about because it's like I haven't like one thing I want to do before I do all
I
this
think it's
crazy shit.
accurate.
It's probably accurate,
Yeah.
but one thing I want to do before all this shit is I want to fucking finish the green car and
Mhm.
drive it because I think I'll actually drive myself insane if I build a car that I've literally never even driven a version of.
Yeah.
Like I think I'll actually go crazy.
Yeah.
And so, and like I'm on thin ice because I'm like already a little bit insane. So it's like if I try
You
to
could
do
get
that,
in the
like,
car, you could be like, "I don't like this as much as I thought I would like it." And then you
yeah,
could scrap the whole thing.
yeah. I mean, so I want to do the green car first, but
Mhm.
the thing is, I'm really leaning towards. Um, the other thing too is that with the wide body, a lot of the sacrifice that comes with the wide body cars is that they handle like shit
Mhm.
because the track width starts to get screwed up with spacers and the
Mhm.
geometry. And so one thing that I'm leaning towards too is how much of this stuff can I like I want to put the car or the suspension and the points in optimum kinematics back from college days or a
Mhm.
similar program
Yeah.
and actually design that suspension
Mhm.
and then use a CNC in order to fabricate the arms.
Mhm.
That's part of the reason why I wanted the CNC. So that's something that I'm looking at there. And the other thing too is on the engine side, going back to that, flat six is like a must. Like it can't be a fucking 4-cylinder. It's
Mhm.
like so stupid. It has to be a flat six. And I thought about other engines too. I even thought about like the rotary side of it, like something really weird. And I was like, that would be super cool, but like also not, I don't want the car to have like that artistic appearance
Mhm.
and then be like JDM rotary.
All right.
Like it doesn't blend. And so I think the car has to be a flat six.
Mhm.
And I think a turbo would lend it really, really well because the car could be a flat six and it could be kind of tamed to the Porsche box in that respect. But I want the car to have a side to it that is very aggressive, but in an artistic way. And I think
Okay.
that's where the boost comes in.
Okay.
It's like the car can be an animal, but also be this like great piece of art. And that I like the idea of that blend. And so right now, kind of what I think about is like a 3-liter or 3.2-liter boosted motor.
Mhm.
You know, I showed you the 935 turbo stuff earlier before even the podcast, but like stuff like that, I find really, really cool.
Yeah.
And I think it would really make the car stand out a lot. Like the thing is like, I really want this car for someone to come up to it and it not be like, oh, this is a 914 Resto mod. Like even the Singer stuff, like some of the early stuff has that flavor to it.
Mhm.
Like, oh, this is just a Resto mod 911.
Mhm.
And like that, I don't like that.
Mhm.
I like a lot of the stuff that Singer does.
Mhm.
Um, but I like more of the stuff I like. I feel like, oh, this is a different car. Like this is bespoke.
Mhm.
And I think that's the way that I want to approach the 914 of like, someone comes up to this and it has, oh, like this is, it's not even, I don't want someone to come up and be like, oh, this is a modified 914. I want them to come up to it and say, this is a Porsche and I don't know what Porsche it is, but I know that it has Porsche heritage in it.
Got it.
Like that's the kind of aesthetic that I want to pull down.
Got it.
Um,
And then you
to
go,
where
actually,
it just
it's Volkswagen.
speaks Porsche. Yeah, right. It just like speaks Porsche in like that unique way that Porsche does.
Okay.
And so that's the balance that I'm striking, or trying to strike. And it's challenging. Also, the other hard thing is that like with that rear deck lid, something that I have to figure out is how do I want it to open?
Yeah.
That's the other hard part is because of those flowing lines. So something that I'm considering is having the plexiglass removable so that you can do stuff like oil,
Mhm.
right? Like basics, like you got to be able to do that. And then for anything other than essentially topping off your oil, to have the entire piece that's the target top supports down to the rear quarters and then the back shell be modular. So that you can unbolt it from certain locations that are accessible,
Mhm.
and then the taillights would be disconnected from underneath, and then that whole entire lid lifts off.
Hmm.
And so then the car essentially becomes an exposed shell and you can do whatever you want.
Right.
And I think that would probably be about the only way that I would be able to get the body lines and contours to work in the way that I want to. Because
'Cause they've all
otherwise,
gotta be the same piece.
they all
You're gonna
have to
have
be
weird fitment issues
intertwined.
if you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, or it's just gonna look like, oh, this line had to be here because of the trunk lid.
Right.
And that's not something I want. Now on the front, I played around with different styles as well. But the thing is I really like the front, the hood needs to be able to lift up, like
Mhm.
for fuel tank and for storage.
Yeah.
And so to that, something that I kind of played around with a little bit was, oh, do I want the front quarters integral with the front bumper? So
Okay.
they're one piece. And I started looking at it and I was like, no, I think the actual line brakes work better in this case because once you start making the front quarters as a part of the front bumper,
Mhm.
then it starts to feel as like the car aesthetically speaks like, oh, this is a racing kit body. Versus when you have that brake and you have the front bumper, although it's intertwined with the body lines, when you have the brake and the clear separation in the actual lines of the panels,
It's like a production car.
it feels like a production car. Exactly.
yeah.
And I was like, I really like that because this feels like a true car. And in the back, you can almost ignore that because of the way that the lines flow. There's like no real concept, and it's like the complexity and the simplicity of the way that the rear lines flow. There's no real concept of like, oh, this feels like a fiberglass kit shell. But because of how I had to smooth out the front quarter panels, it's so smooth and uniform without those breaks of like front bumper, quarter panels, hood. Then it starts to feel like, oh, this feels like a mold. Where the
Right.
back, even if it's one piece, it will never feel like a mold because of how it intertwines together.
Right.
And so that's really what I'm working on.
Mhm.
But yeah, I really love that speed tail design. I
Yeah.
think it's super sick. Like after I develop the design and I finalize it, I'm gonna generate a bunch of different renders of the car in different settings and scenes.
Mhm.
Um, because part of it too is like the background. Like the background will
Mhm.
make you fall in love with the car, and so I want it in a bunch of different settings and scenes. And then the next steps will be, I think I will go to the clay route in order to just model the car, even if I don't do that in order to shape my panels.
Mhm.
But the clay route to get the car in a physical presence to where I can see it. And that'll be fun because I think the way I'll do is I'll take the really dumpy chassis and
Mhm.
I'll start taking like hammers and grinders and cutters to it.
Mhm.
And I'm just gonna like really fucking go ham at it.
Mhm.
And I'm just gonna form the shape that I want.
Mhm.
And so I think it'll be a lot of fun. And it'll be time consuming, but from there, I'll get a really good visual idea of how this car is going to look. And
Mhm.
then I can make tweaks and change slight contours and lines that I may have not necessarily been able to see with AI
Mhm.
and really start to formulate this car
Mhm.
and either create my molds with fiberglass or however I want to do it. I think if the rear clamshell has to be one piece, it's going to have to be kind of uniform in the sense that like it's going to probably have to be fiberglass because to remove that,
It's gonna be heavy if it's
very, very
steel.
heavy,
Yeah.
very heavy.
Well, even with the acrylic in it, it'll be heavy.
Yeah, yeah. With
Yeah.
the acrylic, my goal is to be able to have that removed separately
But
or hinged.
do you wanna remove the acrylic every time you remove the rear?
Yeah, so it could either be hinged, or it could be like removable, like actually removable.
Mhm.
I'm not quite sure how I want to do it. I'll figure it out.
Right.
Um,
I figured
but
that the best way to do this would be to, like, take the orange car and then, like, get it running and driving, and then, like, modularly get it toward this vision. So, like, get a running driving vehicle with the flat six in it, right? And then, uh, do, like, the wire lines and do your optimum K and, like, change the suspension and, like, start to figure out, like, piece by piece where you want it to be, and, like, get it closer step by step, right? Because like, I think in my experience, you want, like, the mechanical stuff to work fundamentally, right? So, like,
Mhm.
get the turbo in there, get the flat six in there, figure out how a turbo is gonna fit in with everything else, right? And then start to do the body work once everything is where it needs to be, right? Because with the turbo especially, like, I don't know how much space the engine bay has where that stuff is gonna fit in, but, like, unexpected items might pop up where you need to change body lines where you didn't think you had to, but, like, you have the mechanics there first,
yeah,
and then you
yeah.
do the body lines after.
Um, yeah. So there's definitely the thing is also the cost line for me to get the flat six with the turbo is very expensive. And so it's
Right.
also figuring out what can I do cheaply to make progress while I save up for what I need down the line. That's
Mhm.
another balance I have to cater to because just a 3-liter flat six is like
Mhm.
20 grand, like just that
Right,
motor.
right.
And so it's expensive.
Without the
Um,
turbos.
yeah, with no turbos and
Right.
no transmission and no mounts, no nothing. Like
Yeah.
it's pricey. But the thing is like I kept trying to do other renders of like, what how can I make this more affordable? And I was like, I'm just gonna fuck it up if I try to do that because the car
Yeah.
is always gonna look like a kit. And that's the fundamental problem that I'm gonna have with the car is it's always going to look like a kit, and it's going to fall into the box of this is a really cool expensive car to build, but I don't want to buy one. I want someone
Right.
to look at the car and I want someone to look at the car who can't even afford the car, who's like, I will work for the next 5 years to be able to afford that.
Yeah, I think any project is like there's no set budget for a project car. There's a rolling budget. It's like this is how much I can spend per month, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then you determine, okay, if it's roughly like an 80 grand build and I can spend a grand a month on it, right? Then my cost projected timeline is 80 months. But
Yeah,
the
which is 6
actual
years,
but
something like that, yeah.
yeah, but like am I actually, even if I had an unlimited budget today, could I get the work done in 6 years with the hours that I have available to me? Probably not. So like if you take the cost limit and the schedule limit and then you add the two together, then it's probably like 1.5x whatever your cost limit is,
Yeah.
right? And so then it's like I think that figuring out how much everything costs, because like so you have your main fixed costs of like what is the engine, transmission, suspension, components, chassis, right?
Yeah.
If you're already using a chassis, then that's awesome. So like those are the fixed costs that you can predict, and then there's the unfixed costs of like, well, I mean, as you're building a car, you need hardware, and like the hardware is going to cost shit that you don't expect, and fluids and tests, and if you're doing body lines, then like the wire that you use to set up a wire frame is going to cost more than you think, and you'll fuck stuff up, so you'll have to order more wire, and so then that'll end up costing like 60% more than you think it's going to cost. And so like
Yeah.
that's where the monthly budget gets eaten up, right? But I think that picking up the core pieces of like, do I want it to be a flat six and do I want turbos is a quick way to be like, okay, how expensive is this going to be, and then how long is it going to take to hit that
Yeah.
money mark?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And so that's stuff that I'm all still working out. But I'm really trying to build the car for me in
I'm so
terms of like,
surprised you went this direction. I really thought you were
yeah.
going to go open wheel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when in my time working with you on the Miata, what's the first ever job we did on the Miata together?
Suspension.
Why?
And handles better.
Handles better.
Yeah.
And everything that I know from your karting career has always been, how do I build the car to feel as good as possible on the road? And so when I think of a project that you choose to do, all I can even conceptualize is like Sanders going to build something that feels incredible to drive regardless of how it looks. And then this project is like a 180 of that, where you're like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to dial in the vision of how it looks because I really want to be in love with the aesthetics. And then like, if it doesn't drive perfectly, it's okay. Like I haven't driven the car yet, but like as long as it looks the way I want it to look, it's like a total
Yeah.
180 of what I was anticipating.
In a lot of ways, it is.
Yeah. It's a new direction.
And it's weird for me too, because like I see that side of myself too. But the thing is like I really do need the car to drive well, because if I know if the car doesn't drive well, I'll hate it regardless of how it looks.
Right.
But I do want the car to be striking as an art piece. Like I want it to be art, which is like kind of like a weird direction for me, because I've always been like, I've had the dent in the back of the Miata for like 3 years and I couldn't care less.
Yeah.
And so it's like a really different direction for me. And I don't know why I'm drawn to that. It's like a weird take for me. And I still am considering. So what I'm doing right now is I'm building out this car, and I'm like, this is the car I'm going to build. And then I'm going to get this together, and I'm going to be like, what if I did open wheel? And I'm going to go through this very similar process on open wheel and really develop something. And I'm going to have two cars that I can't decide between, essentially.
Okay.
And I'm going to be like, okay, like I love this and I love this. Now, what do I want to do?
Get Mason in the room.
But that's essentially what I'm going to do, because right now I'm just absorbing myself in the 914 picture.
That's a good plan. And to compound on that, I think whatever direction you go, like, okay, if you do an open wheel car, right? What kind of engine is it going to have? Not a flat four that you already own.
Yeah.
If you do a Porsche, what kind of engine is it going to be? Not a flat four you already own. So like, no matter what direction you go, there's the big fixed cost of some engine that you can't afford right now.
Yeah.
And so with whatever project you decide to do, it's going to cost money up front to start. It's going to cost a big amount of money to get the engine, and you can't do that right now. So like whatever project you go with, the first like 6 months are going to be like prepping and planning with the budget that you have while you save to buy an engine, right? And in that meantime, you can spend saving money to get there, right? And I think that a wise thing to do during that duration is exactly what you just said, where you get a clear vision of where you want to go and make sure that you're not going to have any regrets in one direction or the other. And we choose our regrets, right? But more importantly is in that time, get the green Porsche running and figure out how much you love to drive that car.
Yeah.
Because that's a big indicator for your Optimum K, for a Porsche project, if that's the way that you go, you got to know, well, how does the car feel baseline? And what changes do I make from there, and how will it change? Because if you're in Optimum K and you're like, oh, well, I can make a concession here, and then you drive the car and you're like, holy fuck, if I make a concession, this is going to drive like absolute shit because it's not that great to start with, right?
Yeah.
Then that's a big swing in one direction, and you don't want to be elbow deep at that point. So
Yeah.
it's a good idea, I think. No matter what direction you go, you're going to have a big cost that you have to wait for anyway. So in the meantime, get the green one running. That way you can at least drive it, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So, lots of stuff to figure out, but I'm excited in the general direction that this stuff is going. I want to do the same thing on the open wheel side. And Because the thing was, is I was starting the week and I was thinking about it, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to decide between these two because I don't have a clear picture of what I'm building either.
Right.
And what's going to happen is I'm going to generate initial renders of each one, and then I'm just going to pick one side because the initial one looks good,
Right.
and I'm never going to see the full fruits of either side.
Yeah, it's good to have a clear vision of what one project would look like or the other.
Yeah,
And
one that I really, really love and I
Right.
really want to do, and then the other side of what I really, really love and really want to do,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
figure out what do I want to do first. And,
Right.
And
Which one am I going to think about if I don't build it?
Yeah, and I've talked a lot about like how I want the car to speak and like how I want the car for other people to see.
Mhm.
And I want to make the point that like I'm really building the car for myself. And when I talk about how other people will see it,
Mhm.
I picture how in myself in the third person of how I would see the car
Right.
if I didn't own the car. And so when I
Right.
talk about like the art pieces and how it speaks and like the different body lines and stuff like that and how I want other people to see it, it's like really like I'm imagining myself in the third person
Yeah.
as like I never saw the car before and then suddenly it appeared in front of me.
Yeah.
And what would I say about it? Like that's kind of how I'm visualizing it. So I just wanted to clarify that because
Yeah.
it's important to note that I'm not building the car off of an idea of someone else liking this thing. Like I'm not picturing like Jerry's car
Mhm.
and like I'm gonna build this car for Jerry. It's like no, like I'm trying to create this vision and I have to step outside of myself in order to kind of see what the car is
Right.
in order to kind of form that. So
Yeah.
just going like a subtle note in that respect, but
Everyone
I'm
thinks their baby
excited
is
about it.
cute, right? But you want to make sure that you have a baby that's not ugly.
Yeah.
But I almost want you to go the Porsche direction because I found myself when I was working on the Lexus with Shaw, I was like, I'm able to help work toward the selected goal that I don't really feel emotionally invested in because an SC300 is not my dream car. And so like I'm happy to mount the radiator wherever you want. Like I'm happy to help you get there. He bought these body kits off of some Russian scammer guy. And like when we got the body kits, I was like, I can't believe these exist. But like, okay, cool. Like we'll bolt them up to the
Yeah.
car. But it wasn't ever like a personal investment. But if you do an open wheel car, I'm gonna struggle so hard to like separate. Okay, this is Sanders' car and the way Sander wants to go from like open wheel road car, right?
Yeah,
So like,
yeah.
it's almost better if you do the Porsche because then I'm not gonna give a shit and like, you go whatever way you want. But with an open wheel car, I'm gonna be like, dude, listen, like if you don't go with this versus that, it's gonna like. I'll get way too involved, right? And I don't want to. I don't want to burden you with me being around and being annoying.
I mean, I'm just trying to build like what the thing is that so I'm in this Porsche 914 mindset right now. So everything I say is going to be catered to that mental perspective. But something I do really like about the 914 is that it's genuinely a car that I could see me using very regularly, like in the rain, in the cold, in the heat, whatever.
Yeah.
It's something that like I could take on a trip and really show. Versus the open wheel car will just literally, at least from, because I'm not ingrained in that world yet, I don't have that vision yet, so I'm speaking from ignorance.
Yeah.
But from how I see it from the outside is this car will just be the ultimate on-road driving experience. It won't be anything other than that, but it will be perfect at that. And I just have to figure out, is that how I want to build? Is that how I want to create?
Yeah.
And so my mind is like obviously just meshed with the 914. So my perspective on the open wheel stuff is ignorant from the outside. I don't know if there's a way to blend that or even not necessarily blend that, but just create something that I love that I don't care about that, right? Like there may be a side of that I just don't know because I haven't dove into it.
Yeah.
But that's something that I want to note as I really do like about the 914, at least at the base level in its singularity box. Like this is a car that could be really genuinely used and shared regardless of the circumstances of like rain and or sunshine or hot or cold or whatever or travel or anything. Like it's really a car that could be used.
Right.
And so that I really, really like about it. And I love that speed tail with the boat tail with wing on the back and like the way the front like I've messed with it for so fucking long. And then like suddenly like it was like Friday at like 2 a.m. I was so tired. I was like, just be creative, just like generate shit. And it like made like part of that. And I was like, oh shit.
Keep going that direction.
Yes. And I was like, just do this thing. And then I started fucking with it. And I was like, oh, I just gave like AI creative freedom to just like do stuff. And it took like 5 iterations. And then I was like, oh, like I saw a little piece of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, this is the spark.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I got to that.
Yeah.
But man, like the power of AI to come up with the shit, like I would be literally fucking with clay right now if I didn't have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I
it's
mean,
like props to that.
the photos that I'm used to are like smudgy, like
Oh
it's
yeah.
kind of like the idea that you have in your head, but like your idea is more crystalline than
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah, yeah.
looking at. But like looking at Gemini, I was like, holy shit, like that looks like like an artist drew like the exact car. It's fucking very close to
Yeah.
reality. And it's not like it's doing weird like when I look at those photos, I don't go like, oh, that's impractical. Like you're using materials that don't exist in the real world.
Right.
It's like, oh, the like I can envision going to Joanne Fabric and finding that piece of fabric or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Right.
Yeah. I think when I think of an open wheel car of that for the road, it's more akin to like a motorcycle than a car, where it's like I will drive it in the rain and I will design it to be driven in the rain,
Right.
right? I will drive it in snow, I will drive it cross country and like it's a car where it's like I think I'm used to driving the Camaro where you have to pay attention when you're driving no matter what. And so when I drive in the Lexus, like I'll have YouTube up or I'll like take phone calls and like
Hmm.
I'll relax. Like it's a great road trip car because you can converse with people and do
Yeah.
stuff. You don't have to be focused on driving. And I think that if I were to take a road trip, I would want it to be comfortable. So I would take a luxury or GT car to go do that, right? So like if I had an LC 500, that'd be great for road tripping. I would not take the Camaro road tripping, right? I would take the Camaro on a rally. And so like if I'm going on a road trip with other auto enthusiasts, I would take an open wheel car and I would live out of a suitcase more or
Yeah.
less, right? But if I'm driving, cross country because like like Grace is flying up north right now to help her dad move
Mm,
down,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, I would take a luxury car or something like that, or
Yeah.
a 914. So it kind of depends on the fitment, right?
Yeah, it's really what do I want car
Right,
to be? I'm figuring it
right,
out, but
right.
yeah, it's lots of cool progress in that stuff. Not much physical progress, but a lot of mental progress on figuring out how
Hmm.
I'm actually going
Hmm.
to do this thing.
Yeah.
Um, but that's what I have for business this week. What do you have for business for us?
My business update is less eventful this week, largely because I was super sick. But we left off last week with our client under contract. We had gotten the clean 4 point back, and we were on track to close. So at the end of last week, they picked out their insurance policy, and they got their interest rate locked in for their loan. They had opted for a window selection, so you can either, when you apply for the loan, accept the mortgage rate, or the interest rate then and there, or you can wait and then you have like a 3-day window to select when you want it to
Mm,
be. And our client chose to wait because of the developments in the Middle East. And so they ended up getting right where they wanted to be, to pick their interest rate and do interest rate buy down. So they're doing a larger payment up front for a lower interest rate for the first number of years of the loan.
got it. Cool.
Um, so they got the rate that they wanted, and we got our clear to close from the lender. We
Sweet.
figured out a few more paperwork filing things with the lender and the title company. They needed copies of uh, the inspection repairs and the clean inspection, and the lender needed a copy of the credit at closing form and stuff like that. So Grace and I dealt with that stuff behind the scenes. Our client doesn't even know that there were problems, so that's cool.
Cool.
And the we scheduled our closing for Monday, so that's tomorrow afternoon. And the seller already signed the paperwork with an online notary. So when we go tomorrow, it's like they're done. So Grace and I went and got closing gifts for them last week. I think I talked about it. So I'll button up those things and get it like ready to
So it's
go
pretty much official, like
for
done
tomorrow.
done.
Yeah, I mean, the seller could still get hit by a bus tomorrow, but fortunately, he's already signed the paperwork, so I think we're good, even if he gets hit by a bus. So, yeah, as long as everything goes well with our clients, then we should be good to
Heck
go.
yeah, dude.
Yeah, so
Sweet.
Grace and I
Woohoo.
will go tomorrow with them, and sit there and do nothing
Wow,
while
that's
they
awesome.
sign paperwork. Yeah, I always feel stupid at closings because it's like I've done all this work for the past like 3 months to get you here, and now at the table, it's like I sit there and I watch you sign hundreds of documents with the title agent while they walk you through their thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I have nothing to contribute, but I'm just here for vibes, and like I
Mhm.
bring the closing gift and the
Yeah,
key to
yeah.
the house or whatever. Actually,
Cool.
I think I have to go get the lock. No, the listing agent should get the lock bar. The listing agent fucking sucks. I haven't talked to the listing agent since we've been under contract. Like I haven't fucking said anything to it. Like
Wow.
ridiculous. Yeah.
That's
So
wild.
yeah, he fucking sucks.
But that's
But
super cool.
yeah, so that'll be a good paycheck. It should be like 4,600, $4,800, something like that.
Sweet.
So that'll be good for ad money.
Yeah.
Um So the second part of my business update is last week I had gone through the prompts and I was working through the prompts again. I was reviewing prompt number 4, and I got really stuck on prompt number 4 this week because it's the research doc, where it goes and finds new information, new data. It's the new research information packet is the name of the prompt. And I was getting stuck because as I was going through, I was like, why are you researching? This doesn't fucking apply to what I want you to write. Like, as I'm reading through the research it's done, I'm automatically assuming that it's going to apply that to all of my avatars. And as I was going through, I wasn't making any changes in the doc, but I was reading through it and then rereading and then trying to figure out how I want to ask Claude to fix it. And then ultimately, after I finished reviewing the doc, I thought to myself, I was like, okay, I could obsess over this and I could have it go research in all the areas that I think is best. But at that point, why don't I just do the fucking research myself? And at that point, why am I using AI? I'm using AI because I can't write fucking ads. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to let it ride and I'm going to let it do its research. And then I'm going to see how it selectively applies. It's smart. It's AI. I'll see how it applies this research to the avatars and then ultimately to the ads. And if I don't like it, then I'll fix it then.
Well, they also, the new information is in part, it's getting an idea of what is not being said yet that could differentiate your angle.
Right.
And so it's kind of, it's not really, it's doing market research in the sense of like it's looking at what other people are saying, but it's really prioritizing how can I re-angle what you say.
Right. Well, and a big chunk of the research that it had done in that document was about insurance rates, because a big issue with people out of state moving to Florida is they don't want to have to pay. They don't know how much they're going to have to pay in insurance, because if you live in Rockledge, you don't live beachside, but do you still pay beachside insurance? Is there hurricane insurance that I need? Do I have to have flood insurance everywhere because Florida's a swamp? People don't know. And so recently, Citizens, which is a big insurance company in Florida, has filed for reduction in its interest rates for people. So now if you're getting Citizens insurance, you don't pay as much as you did last year, which is good. But Citizens cut like half of its policyholders last year, which is why you can now get cheaper interest rates. So on the one hand, you can get cheaper rates now, but on the other hand, it just cut half of its people. So now you're signing up with an insurance company where you might get dropped in 5 years and you don't know. So there's risk. And Claude wasn't seeing that risk. Claude was just seeing, awesome, you can now get it for cheaper. And so it was like hypothesizing hooks similar to, have you been holding off on moving to Florida because you're not sure about insurance rates? Well, guess what? I've got news for you. You can get cheaper insurance rates now. And that's not the hooks that I want to write. I don't want to convince someone to buy a house. I want to convince someone to transact with me who's already ready to do it. I don't want to have the convincing conversation. I want to be the guy that does it with you, right? Once you've decided. And I don't want to hook someone who is not bought because of insurance rates. I want to hook someone who's ready to sell and needs an agent, right? And so I was really apprehensive on that document because of that reason. And ultimately I decided, okay, if it writes hooks to first-time home sellers who are moving because they got a new promotion and they are having another kid and they want to upsize, and it's writing hooks for those people with insurance rates, I'll tell it to change. And so I'm going to go from that direction.
Yeah.
So I let it ride. I started on this on Thursday because like Monday to Wednesday, I was fucking out. I was done. I could not do anything. And so from Thursday to Friday or Saturday, I was doing this. And then I decided to just snap the chalk line. So I let it ride with prompt 4, had it write prompt 5. It's writes 6 avatars in prompt 5, and then each avatar has 6 sub avatars, right?
Yeah.
And so I have read through the first 2 full avatars and all of their 6 sub avatars, and they look really solid.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy with those.
It'll do
so
a solid
far.
job for sure.
Yeah, I have not been through the other 4 main avatars or their sub avatars yet, but the first 2 are really strong and I'm happy with. And so like, even if the next 4 suck, I'll just tell Claude, let's roll with prompt 6 with just the first 2 avatars.
And they should prompt you about what it believes are the strongest ones as well.
Right.
And from there, like you can kind of just narrow your focus to like one strong avatar that I really want to hit hard. And then if it doesn't work out or whatever, or have some warnings, then kind of shift gears or whatever. Like you can easily kind of iterate and make progress from there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm at right now. Is I'm now reading through prompt 5 and figuring out what avatars I like, and then figuring out what avatars Claude think is best, and then from there I'll end up with
Cool.
my ad script, which is good because we just got paid. So now I have the ability to actually start using the
Yeah, the
big
money's
chunk of money, yeah, from the
cool.
last closing and this closing. So yeah, it's taking longer than I want it to, but last week I had predicted I would have ad copy ready for this week. I think if I had the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night to work, then I would have. So I think in the next 3 nights I'll have that. So I'm still on schedule, but the illness set me back 3 days. So I still think I'm on track. I'm just behind schedule because of the sickness. So I hate every fucking update being like, I'm gonna have ads next week, and then I don't have ads next week for one excuse or another. But this week it was out of my control. So I'm sitting down and I'm forcing myself to do it, even though I'm not, doesn't get me hard doing this, right?
Yeah,
But
no.
I'm forcing myself to do it anyways. So I am chewing through it. But that's my business update. Overall, I think I'm happy with my update.
Cool. Yeah. Hopefully this tool ends up being um overall better than me just giving feedback about individual ads.
I mean, so
Um,
far, like, I did the practice of like going through and writing avatars in the very beginning,
yeah, yeah.
with you. And so far, the avatars that it has written is more organized and better thought out than avatars I have written. So I'm
That was
already
kind of
happy
my
with it.
hope.
Yeah.
Because it did a great job for me, and I was like, how can I adapt this for you? So,
And I thought
uh,
about it and I was like, you know what? Even if I get to the ad copy and I'm like, this feels really cheesy and like fucked up, and I'm just gonna go off rip with my gut and I'm gonna film 5 different hooks and 3 different bodies and then I'm gonna figure it out from there. I have already decided that the AI has helped me enough that even if I don't like the exact ad copy it gives me, it's given me a much more firm understanding of who my audience and my clients actually are. And that will help me read way better. And
oh
so
yeah,
I've hedged my bets already, which is that even if I don't follow it step by step all the way through to the end, it's already done a lot for me. And I still think that it's going to give me good ad copy. So
yeah.
we'll see
No,
how
I
it
think
goes.
so.
But yeah,
I think so.
yeah,
Very cool.
that's my
Nice, and
business update.
congratulations on almost closing. One day
Almost
left.
closing. Almost closing.
1 day left.
Yeah, I don't want to count my chickens before they
Yeah,
hatch. But
fair enough.
what lessons did you learn this week?
So the lesson I had this week. So you brought up an interesting point where it's like my continuous philosophy for a long period of time has always been like, just make it functional. Don't care about the way it looks. Like, just make this work. Like race car. Like that's always been like my thing. And the thing that I realized, like kind of working through this process, is like I kind of started on that side. That's where I started with like the Martini liveries and the Jägermeister liveries and the Gulf livery and like this and like carbon this and carbon that and this. And I was like, man, like these are all so cool, but it's not the piece of art that I want to create for some reason. I was like, I didn't know why. Um, and what I realized was like I really love like the thing I love about racing is I love many things about racing.
Mhm.
But like one of the real like foundational points for me that flows through racing into production cars, into cars that I drive, into my auto shop experience and all that is my love for like the soul of the car.
Mhm.
That's what like really pulls me through all this. And so I was like, man, like that's really what I want to create.
Mhm.
And then became the journey of like, how do I make that speak?
Mhm.
And like, how do I form that? Because then I had all these things of like logistical shit. Like my logistical mind started going of like, how the heck am I going to do this and that and this and that and like all this stuff. And I was like, that. And then on top of that, I didn't even know what I wanted. And then on top of that, there's so many different ways to do all of the different things that I don't know if I want or don't want. That it's just like, it's like a tree diagram that branches infinitely.
Right.
And so I was really struggling because I felt like I had a forest of trees with all of these different branches and I didn't even know what tree I was trying to pick.
Right.
And so from there, I was like, let me just build the vision, which is kind of why it's backwards in a
Right.
way. It's like, let me build the vision of what I want. And from there, like I like naturally went down this path of like, I really want to create this like artwork, which is like kind of interesting because like my mom is an artist,
Mhm.
and was like and like still is, and like that's all she did for decades
Mhm.
was just paint and artwork. Not just, but I mean, she did some really really incredible work. But it's
Mhm.
kind of like funny how like I've found that path. Like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree in some ways. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and so the lesson that I pulled away from this week is I've had a lot more clarity. Because another thing I struggled with this week is like I didn't have any clarity,
Mhm.
and so I was like, like it was like this whole process has been weird because it feels like the only time in my life where I haven't had clear direction.
Mhm.
And so I was struggling with this clarity, and so I just started building this vision. I was like, I'm just going to build out this vision, just get myself excited about this
Mhm.
thing. And what I found through that is as the vision developed, I then started to develop techniques and ways in order to solve the problems that I found with my vision.
Mhm.
And so the lesson that I have for this week is the vision will pave the road and generate the questions to help you drive through it. And so that's kind of the overall thing. And I guess I came up with another analogy, whereas like the vision will help you formulate the tree that you want to grow, and the branches will naturally form into themselves to help you create the full picture, right?
Mhm.
Um, but that's the lesson that I pulled away from this week, and I'll probably spend a portion of this week continuing to work through that, and then I will then pivot to this open wheel side as well,
Yeah.
and then I will combine and figure out what I really want.
Right. It's so interesting going the artistic route too, because when I was in high school and I was old enough to have my driver's license, like my get my permit, but I didn't go through the course to get my permit right away because I really wasn't that interested in cars. Like I liked watching race cars, but watching race cars and getting your first car were two completely separate things for me, right? Because like I grew up and my I rode in a minivan every day.
Mm,
So like I didn't have the experience of driving a car. And like my dad was very adamant from like a young age that like, oh, I will not own the Camaro for a long time. So like
yeah,
I knew that when I got my first car, it was going to be some fucking lame ass minivan. And so like I didn't care. And so as I started learning, like, okay, well, if I'm going to own a car, I should learn about like maintenance. So I should learn about like the mechanic, like how does a car work mechanically? And as I got interested in that, I started getting interested in like, you know, the mechanics of fast cars. And then I'm like, oh, well, I can't get into a fast car if I don't get into a slow car first. So I should get my permit and I go from there. Right. But in high school, when I was looking at my first car, my mom told me it can't be manual because she wants me to focus on driving. Don't think about that one for too long. Go
I
hurt
won't.
yourself. My dad didn't want me to have a V8 because he didn't want me to have too much power. Probably a good decision. So I was like, okay, V6 Auto is basically what I'm looking at here, right? And so when I was looking at all of these different V6 Auto cars, all I was like, all that was important to me is I want a car that looks cool. I want a car that's unique that no one else is going to have on the road that I can identify with, right?
Yeah,
And so I settled on the 97 Firebird because it looks really unique. It's visually striking.
mm,
Like it's pointed, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's got pop-up headlights. And like no one has a red car that's pointed with pop-up headlights in high school, right? That's sick. And so I wound up getting that car, and every car that I compared it to as I started to get into the automotive enthusiast kind of world, like my buddy had a BMW wagon and my other buddy had a Jeep Cherokee and I had the Firebird and my friend had like an '04 Mustang. And so I started to learn about these cars and create identities for these cars in my head based on how they looked, right? And that was fundamentally how I viewed the automotive world for a long time. So like when the Dodge Demon came out, I was like, this is sick. It's loud, it does drag racing, it looks real mean with the big long intake on
Yeah.
the front hood, right? And so like I determined how I liked cars and their identities based on how they look, right? And that was fundamentally how I viewed the automotive world until the first ride in the Miata with you, with the
Yeah,
new suspension. Because
yeah,
when you changed lanes, I felt like I was in a fighter jet, and
yeah,
I was
yeah,
like, this is wild. Because
yeah,
Miatas don't look cool. Miatas look like girls' cars. And
yeah.
so I had identified the Miata as like a girl's car, but you're excited about it. And so, okay, everyone has their thing. And then I
Right.
rode in it and I was like, I was completely wrong. Like,
Yeah.
that's not the identity of that car at all to me anymore. Now I identify cars based on how they drive. And so when I approach a new vehicle, I can feel a certain way based on how it looks and how it appears, but how it drives could totally change how I feel. And I go into new cars with an open mind now because of that. So like when I got the Lexus, I saw it visually and I was like, I like how it looks visually, but I don't know if this is a good car or not because I haven't driven it. Whereas in high school, I'd be like, dude, it's a car. They're all going to drive the same. It looks cool. Get that car. Right.
Yeah.
And so now I reserve my opinion until I can see how it drives. And so it's how a car handles and drives and how it makes me feel when I'm driving it and how I communicate with the car when I'm driving is so much more important to me now than how a car visually looks, which is my entire basis of estimate when I was in high school. So
Yeah.
like my perspective has completely and fundamentally changed based on experiences with you
Mm,
and what I've learned from you. And your ability, and I think the reason that I'm surprised that you're doing 180 isn't because like looks of cars have never been important to you. They've always been important to you. But what I identify with you compared to other people who work on cars, because in my time working on cars, I've done it myself. I've done it with Shaw. I've done it with Dave. I've done it with like fucking like dozens of people who build cars, right?
Yeah.
And everyone builds cars roughly the same way, which is this is the engine I want, this is the horsepower I want, and here's how I want the car to look. Nobody builds cars based around how they feel except for you. You're the only person who I've worked with who has worked on cars and specifically designed the Miata to feel a certain way when you drive it.
Yeah.
And so I have already decided that like whatever the next car that I build is gonna be in that direction of like, how do I make it feel good? And then I'll figure out how it looks later. Right.
Yeah.
And so it's funny to me to hear you come from a different perspective because you have so fundamentally shifted how I view things that you're taking it in a different direction, which is subverting my expectations.
I think you raise a really good point. I think kind of why maybe this is partially 180 but in some respects not, is that the way the car feels to me in part is something I've always ignored, is also the presence that it has.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that I'm trying to really lay out, because what I anticipate will happen, I think what will happen is I'll get the green 914 going. I'll see if I, just drive the car, just get my sanity check.
Right.
And what I anticipate will happen is I'll mold this body. I'll create this vision. I'll be like, this is the car, the presence that I want it to have. And then I'll go underneath the car and go, okay, now I got to figure out how I'm going to make it drive. And then that will come with a lot of like, okay, what do I want to do with the frame? What do I want to do with suspension components? What do I want to do with brakes? And then it will essentially become this drivable chassis with no body on it.
Yeah.
And it will flip in a way where I will develop the car underneath, and I'll be like, because the driving experience is going to be very important. Something that I'm worried about that I really want to address is the car needs to be a really amazing driving experience too. And so I really want to nail that because I want the car to have this presence, and this vision is kind of what like builds my kind of motivation or perspective for it, right? And then the underneath is what will take a lot of engineering and development. And so like something that I'm kind of working towards is I build this body, I build this vision, and then that's a skill that I need to learn. So I'll figure out how to do that. But also I haven't addressed underneath the car yet. And I think kind of part of the reason why I'm doing this aesthetic approach in some ways is because I can easily compare the presence of the car as it sits to the presence of a open wheel car as it sits. Right. And kind of figure out what kind of presence do I want to build, what kind of aura around the car do I want to build. Yeah. Right. Because that's also something for me. Like if I'm building a car for myself, I want the aura of the car to really speak. Yeah. And so that's something that's kind of unique in this case because it's not just a car that I'm taking where I don't care about the aesthetics necessarily, and I'm just trying to build the mechanical side of it. Because the Miata, I think I've done a good job with that. Right.
But the Miata doesn't have road presence.
It doesn't have road presence. I want this car to have road presence. I want it to be like really elegant. Right. Not, I was going to say magnificent, but magnificent kind of has this like a larger statement piece in my mind, whereas I don't want the car to be like a large statement piece. I want it to be elegant where it's like, you can't help but look at it, but it doesn't ask you to look at it, if that makes sense.
Got it.
It's like you see the car and you like have to look at it because it's incredible, but it's not like it is asking you and screaming at you like, look at me, right? Whereas like some cars do that. Like a lot of like some Lamborghinis are like, just look at me, right? And that's very, very cool. Yeah. But it's not quite the build I want to make for the Porsche.
Yeah, I feel like Lamborghinis, it's a really good example with Lamborghinis. And it's one of the reasons I've kind of fallen out of love with the McLarens of like the 570Ss and the 620s. Yeah. Is because they are very loud. They are very...
They're yelling at you.
Yeah, they're bright colors and they're crazy dramatic body lines and they want you to look at them, right? Yeah. They feel kind of like attention whores. Right. And with a custom build like the Singer or the 914 project that you have, it's more of like it commands your attention, but it doesn't need your attention, right? Yeah. And I think that what I've always been drawn to about an open wheel road car, what I've always been drawn to about an open wheel road car is that it is designed to do what it's going to do, and you can look at it or not, but it doesn't care because it's going to rip past you on the highway, and you can look or not, but it's going to do its own thing. And so I liken viewing an open wheel road car because like if I'm driving down the highway in my mom's minivan on my driver's license, right? Or my driving permit, and I see 3 cars pass me one at a time, and the first one's an Aventador, I'll look at it because it wants me to look at it and it's loud. And I'm like, okay, got it. And then I see like a beautiful car drive past me and I have a moment of appreciation for it, right? But if I see an open wheel car drive past me, it's like seeing a UFO. And I'm like, I don't know what to think because I've never seen this before. And so it's almost like what was that? And it doesn't even give a shit about me. Like it doesn't ask for my attention. It doesn't need me to look at it. It is its own thing in its own right. And it's up to me to just like decide if I want to experience it or not, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love about the open wheel car idea. But again, it's an idea that I've had for a long time, and so it's something that I have considered for a long time.
No, and I mean I've looked at them,
And it's something I've never seen. I've never seen it on the road before. Like I've seen Aventadors on the road, and I've seen like custom project cars, and I've worked on custom project cars, but I've never seen an open wheel car on the road before.
Yeah.
And so it's still something in my mind that nags at me because I've never seen it, and that's what makes it unique to me.
Yeah.
But also like something when I'm comparing in my head an open wheel design car to like if I were to build a Miata, like I talked about building the Piss Missile a while ago, where I build a Miata with like a crazy body kit and turbos on it and shit. Like when I think about a Miata like that, I think about designing it to give the car personality, like personality to match the driving style, right? But when you're building or when I'm designing an open wheel car in my head, I design the open wheel car to drive a certain way, and then it must look the way that it drives, right? That's by design. It has to look the way that it drives.
That's the thing is I think that's a really good point. The challenge that I did have was I do want the car to feel and drive in a very certain way, but it's very difficult for me to convey that without visuals because I need to feel it.
Right.
And so something that kind of made that process easier is like, how do I want the car to speak visually? And once I have that visual representation, it becomes easier for me. It's like that almost gives me the building block of like, this is how the car speaks, and this is how I want it's almost like this is how I want the car to feel when it drives too, but as a visual, like kind of like higher conscious representation of that very tangible driving experience.
Yeah.
And so then I can kind of use that as like a flow state in my mind for like, what do I want? How do I want the engineering to reflect that?
Right.
And because I know how I want the car to feel visually, and then that conveys how I want the car to feel mechanically because those are intertwined. And then it's all about, okay, what do I physically need to do in order to make the car feel the way I want it to feel? But it's kind of like this backwards approach, but the feel of the car, like something I'm worried about is I don't want the car to be heavy, which is why I'm considering like the fiberglass from a more logistical perspective is like, I don't want the car to feel heavy. I especially don't want the back of the car to feel really heavy with this kind of speedtail style. I need to be able to figure that out. And so that's kind of where the actual chassis components coming in, and like there are questions in my mind of like, do I go underneath this car like full tube frame? Like, do I like completely negate the 914 frame?
Right.
And I just build this car off of suspension points.
Right.
And then mount points that I want. And then the interior, I just build out of literal sheet metal and panels. And I can use interior components from the 914 and they'll fit and all that good stuff and whatever. But like, how much of this car do I actually reinvent underneath? And what do I want it to be? Like, those are things that I have to figure out.
But then if you do that, you're not using the chassis of a 914 anymore. So the structural rigidity changes and the weight also
could be
changes
better
then
too.
Right?
Yeah.
So it could be better or worse.
Yeah.
Right. So like, then you get into, well, I have to do the math to figure out if the torsional rigidity is anything similar to the 914.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like
it's not unibody anymore either. Right.
So then it's something, it kind of flows into a different realm that I really, really love, because then it becomes my own car, truly my own car, but just inspired by my love for Porsches. It's no longer a Porsche.
Well, and then
it's just the Sanders Sorok car company.
Well, and then you're doing an open wheel formula car build, but instead of it being an open wheel formula build, it is now a full car build.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you do the open wheel, it's going to be tube frame. You're going to have to weld it all. You're going to design it from the ground up, right? And instead, you're doing that for a 2-seater road car, and then you're putting body panels on it.
Yeah.
All custom and stuff like that. Which gives you a lot more flexibility from you're not tied to the suspension mounting points for a 914, but then also at that point you're not tied to a 914 at all, and so you don't have to use any 914 design language. You can use like then you
Yeah.
like rip down the tree and you start over again, right? From
Yeah, you're
first
really growing
principles.
your own tree at that point.
Right.
So it's stuff that I'm still working through. I don't have clear answers to it, but
Yeah.
it's the progress I have
Yeah.
for the week.
Yeah.
And the lesson learned to reflect that. But
Got it.
what do you have for your lesson learned this week?
My lesson, I really didn't have like a firm one because most of my week was spent in like a fugue state with a fever.
Yeah.
But I read a quote that I thought was interesting, and I thought about this quote again while Max Verstappen was driving, um, because when he caught air going down the downhill, like and the
I
camera,
saw that. I was like, is he gonna wreck?
dude, I watched it live and my asshole clenched up. But like the interior camera is on the right side of the car, and so like from our perspective, we're over the grass, airborne. And I was like, he's gonna hit the wall, right? And then he doesn't. And then as I'm watching the rest of him driving, like later on in that stint, he got the lead by overtaking the first and second place cars and 2 back markers in 2 corners. And he got past the back markers by the time he got on the straight. So he went from third to first and then gapped second place after he took the lead down the rest of that straight in like 2 corners. It was unreal. And so I keep thinking about this quote, but the quote is, "You worry too much for someone who figures it out every single time." And I read that quote earlier in the week, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny," because I
That's
I
a
always
good one.
I always figure shit out, but I'm never really worried about anything. But I feel like this is something that like Grace would say to me if I got in my own head about something, right? So like I've never needed this pep talk, but it's a perfect pep talk to give to me if I ever need one, right? But then I found myself worrying about Max Verstappen as he was driving because, like, I was like, oh my God, he's going to hit that guy or he's going to hit the wall or whatever. And then I thought to myself, I was like, dude, like, I'm worried too much about someone who figures it out every time. And so I thought that was like a cool little application of
funny.
a quote that I found this week. But
Yeah, I mean, I actually had a similar thought. It's funny because the announcers were talking about Max got back in at like 2:30 in the morning or something. The announcers were like, he's gonna have to get used to these half rain conditions in the dark. He hasn't driven the track before, and I was like, he's gonna fucking figure it out. It's Max Verstappen, like fucking lay off.
I remember he got in for his second stint. This was the one where like it was night for them, but it was still daytime for us. And they had done the first ever brake change for that car. And so they were like, Max might need a second to bed the brakes in. Fastest first sector of the day, like immediately. Like immediately on pace. And I was like, dude, like it feels like the announcers every time were like setting up to like cushion the blow of Max not doing well. They were like, okay, he's coming up on this Porsche, and like, you know, this guy has won the Nürburgring 24-hour 5 times. He's a decorated GT3 driver, so like it might take Max hey, okay, he's by him already. Got it. And like immediately, like he just fucking it could not have been written better for the commentators to like set up a challenge for Max and then Max not like listen to any of it and just fuck down on him, which is like, ah, man, it's so great. It's so great. And then it's so funny because like leading up to this weekend, did you watch the GT500 video he did, right? Where he went out in the rain and set the lap time. I saw someone post something. I don't even know who this driver is. They were like, oh, Ricky Bobby in NASCAR would wipe the floor with Max Verstappen. And so I commented on the TikTok and I was like, have you seen the video where he gets in a GT500 car and then matches the lap time of a pro GT500 driver? And the guy replied, and he was like, he's only won 1 race in GT500. He's not that good of a driver. This sports car, this stock car driver is like the best there ever was. And I was like, okay, you think that he's gonna like wallop Max Verstappen? You don't think Max is gonna be close? Because Max is ahead of everybody by lap 3 on anything that he fucking does. So like, yeah, he's got a special interest in GT3 cars, and okay, like GT3 cars and Formula 1 cars are like, they drive similar circuits and they all have 4 wheels and 1 steering wheel, but so does a stock car. So like, you know, I don't, to my knowledge, Max isn't interested in that shit, but like, God fucking save you if he ever is, because good God, like, dude, their Netflix or Amazon Prime is coming out with a Kyle Larson documentary. It's Kyle Larson versus the double, right? Which is like, it's the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 500 in the same weekend, right? And like the top comment is like, I'll tell you how the documentary goes right now. He tries twice, he fails twice. skip to the next stop. And it's like,
Nice.
that's a perfect representation of like someone getting amped up about an idol in motorsport and then that idol not living up to the hype,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, it doesn't matter how much you hype up Max Verstappen. Like he just
He
like
delivers.
he delivers more than the hype can even describe, right?
Yeah.
It's like you never see Max Verstappen get in a car and like do okay. You know, it's like he always gets in a car and like blows everybody out of the water. Like these are the best GT3 drivers on earth right now. And Max never got out of the car in P2 or lower. He always got out of the car in the lead.
Yeah.
So like regardless of where the car finished or where Goonan left the car after Max got out, Max Verstappen got out of the car ahead of all these pro GT3 drivers every single time with a minimum. The smallest gap Max left was 6 seconds, and the max was 45.
Yeah.
Unreal.
No, it was very, very amazing to watch.
Yeah.
You have a dial in?
My champion. Yeah. The dial in, I just thought was funny. I don't know. I don't know. It's not related to like anything really. But I just thought it was
Undialed in?
interesting. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I was reading
No,
through
all
my
good.
quotes and I was like, nothing really like aligns super well, but nah, fuck it. The quote is, everything is a conspiracy when you don't understand how anything works. So like I was talking to Tyler this week and he was talking to me about like the technocracy and like the elites and whatever. And I was like, okay, Tyler. And he was picking my brain about like military shit because he doesn't know how any of it works. And he was like, do you know about the Maui fires? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, have you heard about like the Project Blue Light? And I was like, no, what is that? And he was like, well, in the Maui fires, nothing blue burned down. And I was like, what? And he was like, if you look at the Maui fires, there's like a blue building surrounded by burned down buildings and a blue car surrounded by burned down cars. And only the blue things didn't light on fire. And so people are talking about how like the lasers they have on like the
Yeah.
ships, like, you know, the lasers don't react to blue light. And so if there was a satellite that would hit Maui with a laser, it would catch everything on fire that isn't blue because blue doesn't react with that light. And I was like, oh, this is a perfect application of this quote where everything is a conspiracy if you don't understand how anything works. So I told him that. I was like, buddy, like, you don't make yourself look like an idiot in front of people who know a little bit about this subject. Like you can make yourself look like an idiot in front of people who don't know, but like don't make yourself look like an idiot in front of engineers. Don't say that shit. And so I just like gently put that to bed and saved him from the embarrassment of talking to someone intellectual who would judge him for that. I don't judge him for it.
Yeah.
But
I get you.
I was like, dude, don't make yourself look stupid. You're not that dumb. You're being lied to, and that's okay. I'm here to tell you the truth. But I thought that was a fun dial-in quote.
That is fun. Cool. Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Vision 79 podcast. This was episode 107. Climbing up there. Hopefully you have a great week coming up, and we will see you next time.